Chapter 51, Renovation of the Spiritual Beast Garden. After giving the instructions, senior sister Wen left in a hurry, looking very busy. This made Chen Zhuge very sorry. He also wanted to ask his senior sister if she had a kun and whether there was any channel to buy a kun cub. A kun as big as a continent is so majestic, it is simply the immortal version of a top-level luxury RV. Forget it. There should be a chance in the future. There's no rush. I still have 2 spirit beasts that haven't been contracted. If I want kun, I may have to wait until it reaches Mahayana. Chen Zhuge said with some regret. Originally, Chen Zhuge was planning to change the contract decree with Dabai into a life decree, but suddenly he thought that spiritual beasts like spiritual plants didn't seem to have much intelligence when they were born, and grew relatively slowly. It would be better to contract the eternal vine first to drive it to develop in advance. It just so happened that his own spiritual beast garden also needed a major renovation. After comforting Dabai, who was frightened and felt very aggrieved by his master, Chen Zhuge took out the spirit seed of the eternal vine and dripped blood to recognize its master. It was very simple. With that weak mind, there was no resistance at all. After thoroughly consolidating the decree, he felt the increased vitality in his body, although only a trace, but the eternal vine has not yet been officially born. After the eternal vine is born and his cultivation level is improved, Chen Zhuge can already imagine that infinite vitality, combined with his body refining cultivation level. Please call me the big blood bowl from now on. The next day, Chen Zhuge summoned all the contracted spirit beasts under his command. Looking at the well-behaved spirit beasts sitting in a row, Chen Zhuge nodded with satisfaction and said, I will thoroughly plan the spirit beast garden. From now on, you will listen to my instructions. If anyone slacks off, the consequences will be serious. Seeing Yu Meng's eyes constantly moving back and forth between her and Zhang Ji, she said unhappily, What do you mean, what do you mean, am I such a rabbit? It better not be. Without further ado, let me tell you the general direction of the transformation. Chen Zhuge waved his hand and started to act with a group of spirit beasts. Although the entire spirit beast garden has expanded more than 100 times, it is still oval in shape as a whole. Chen Zhuge's cave residence is located at the lower left of the entrance and does not occupy a very large area. On the road from the entrance to the cave residence, Chen Zhuge planted the exotic flowers and plants in the cave residence, as well as some relatively low-grade spiritual medicines in his hands on both sides, which is just the right place to accommodate the plant elves. Next to the cave is the herd of golden dogs led by Black Eyes. This is a small depression with nearly 100 golden dogs living in it, as well as a dozen puppies. There is still a lot of space left, so it would be no problem to increase the number of golden dogs tenfold. Close to the depression is a gravel area with many stone caves, which is just right for accommodating the current 4 stone dragon lizard experimental subjects and future stone dragon lizard experimental subjects. Beyond the gravel ground is a large grassland. In the grassland near the stone dragon lizard gravel ground, there are very few other spiritual beasts except the silly spirit chickens and snow rabbits. It is also the main food source for medicinal snakes and wood turtles. Chen Zhuge plans to divide this prairie into 2 parts. The lower part, which is the area near the gravel ground, will be mainly used to raise spiritual chickens and snow rabbits, as well as the grey stone rats that were transformed after the stone dragon lizard experiment. It will be a spiritual beast meat breeding base. Chen Zhuge plans to turn the upper half of the grassland into the main breeding base for herbivorous spirit beasts. Although there are only red flame sheep and 5 colored deer now, it is not a big problem. After planning the general area, Chen Zhuge plans to expand. Past the 2 grasslands is the central Linghu area, with Linghu as the dividing line. Turtles are raised in the lower area, and the area above is to be determined. There is still almost half of the area beyond Linghu Lake, and Chen Zhuge plans to use the high-level ores in his hands to transform a 5-element ecosystem. Linghu used to be about half the size of the entire Eden spiritual beast garden. Chen Zhuge planned to put all the modified spiritual beast variants into it to select powerful spiritual beasts. He would use the strongest ones himself and sell the others to the sect or fellow disciples to earn spiritual stones. After expanding the scale, it might be sold well in major immortal cities. After planning the distribution of spiritual beasts in the entire spiritual beast garden, Chen Zhuge also changed the name of the spiritual beast garden to Eden Garden, hoping that he could produce divine beasts in large quantities in the future. Men, move! Chen Zhuge waved his hand, and immediately rushed out a group of golden dogs led by Black Eyes, the chief steward of the Garden of Eden, followed closely by the contract team led by the wise Wrathful. Dabai, who was a beat slower, also started working with his two little brothers, while Zhang Ji planned to deal with the stone dragon lizard. Looking at Yu Meng, who didn't know what to do, Chen Zhuge said speechlessly, "Move your home to a new location next to the spirit lake. The moonlight there is more abundant at night, which is suitable for you to practice. After you have sorted it out, gather the grass turtles and colorful deer to the area below the spirit lake. Do you understand?" "Humph, I knew it anyway." Yu Meng raised her head and snorted coldly with disdain. Looking at Yu Meng, who doesn't even call her master now, Chen Zhuge can only shake his head secretly. The child has reached the rebellious period, so he should be more tolerant of her. As for the last 5 elements ecological zone, Chen Zhuge plans to transform it himself. They have to create a suitable environment, and the spirit beasts will not activate the formation plate for isolation. It took Chen Zhuge more than an hour to reach the boundary of the spirit lake in the spirit beast garden. After taking a rough look at the scale, Chen Zhuge found a 7th order defense array disc from the pile of miscellaneous items in the gift from his master, and inserted it. Looking at the spiritual light rising from the array and feeling its powerful defensive force, Chen Zhuge nodded with satisfaction. "By the way, Master has already anticipated that I would transform the spirit beast garden, and the gift he gave not only includes a large amount of spirit stones, high-level minerals of various properties, spirit medicines and spirit grass seeds, but he also transformed the spirit lake. The spiritual energy contained in it is simply endless, otherwise it would not be able to support so many large formations." He threw all the unused 5-element ores in his hand into the 5 directions of this area, feeling the changes around him. Standing in the fire area, Chen Zhuge looked at the spiritual grass with reddish leaves and couldn't help but sighed. The cultivator who created this attributeless spiritual grass is simply a genius. It adapts to all environments and is simply the favorite of farmers. After waiting for the spirit beasts to finish their work, Chen Zhuge set up magic arrays in each designated area one by one. "We need to hire a group of keepers. It just so happens that Zhang Ji has been talking about the snow ape Xiahua these days. We can then select a group of monkeys to be keepers, and they can also keep Zhang Ji company." Chen Zhuge thought. Looking at the golden dogs who were busy sticking out their tongues, and feeling their cultivation level, most of them were at the 3rd level, and there were only a few at the 4th level. This would not do. They would not be able to keep up with the progress of the Garden of Eden. It seemed that he had to improve the strength of the golden dogs. Afterwards, the big capitalist Chen Zhuge set up a large number of reward and punishment systems for the golden dog, giving out spirit stones every month and allowing the dog to buy resources from him. The golden dog, which already has a 4th or 5th level bloodline upper limit, will not be very strong after the bloodline is extracted by Chen Zhuge's golden finger. As long as it works hard, it is not difficult to become a 5th level spirit beast. If it has good talent, it may be promoted to the 6th level. Chapter 52, A New Eden. After arranging the golden dog, Chen Zhuge, with great care, assigned tasks to each of the remaining spirit beasts. Not even the plant elves escaped. Ignoring Yu Meng's protest, Chen Zhuge felt that he was a really kind person. How could a master pay a spirit beast a salary? It is actually very difficult to maintain an ecosystem, but Chen Zhuge did not plan to do it all at once. There are a large number of spirit chickens and snow rabbits in the Garden of Eden now. No matter how gluttonous the medicinal snake is, it can only eat 3 of them, and now there is 1 less. In order to save spirit stones, Chen Zhuge went to the Baiko Garden Fairy City under the Baiko Peak and bought a large number of low-level spirit beasts and some low-level spirit grass seeds, etc., which were responsible for the role of the ecosystem. This part had the largest quantity, but the lowest value. In the Spirit Beast Hall of Baiko Peak, Chen Zhuge spent all his merits, spirit stones, spirit marrow, and even exchanged a lot of high-level treasures in his hands. Only then did he finally manage to select the breeders and obtain a large number of spirit beasts. After giving the spiritual herb seeds to the plant elves for planting, Chen Zhuge began to extract blood, preparing to cultivate high-quality and high-potential spiritual beasts. Since there was only an experimental adapter, Chen Zhuge used a stone dragon lizard instead. Although there were not many types of spiritual beasts purchased this time, one spiritual beast contained many bloodlines. If every bloodline was tested, even if the price of the stone dragon lizard was not expensive, it would not be something Chen Zhuge could afford. As the herbivorous spirit beasts responsible for generating resource income, Chen Zhuge chose the giant rhinoceros, the silver moon spirit fish and the moonlight giant frog. Although the giant rhinoceros is only at the 4th level, its huge size, super endurance, and strength make it very suitable for transporting goods. Although it has not reached the 5th level after being purified by the golden finger, it is not far away and is just right to be raised with the red flame sheep. Although the silver moon spirit fish is a 3rd-tier spirit fish, because its breeding environment requires a large amount of spiritual energy, and because of its special beauty-enhancing effect and superb taste, its price once surpassed that of ordinary 4th-tier spirit fish. The concentration of spiritual energy in the spirit lake in the Garden of Eden is now exaggerated, which is just right for raising silver moon spirit fish. The moonlight giant frog is a 4th-level amphibian spirit beast that lives in groups. It gathers moonlight at night. A large amount of moonlight will be condensed into moonlight crystals. These crystals cannot be directly absorbed and digested, but they are one of the best-selling materials for making magical instruments and are of great value. By the way, they can also find a place for you Meng to practice, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. As for the remaining spirit beasts, they are all planned to be released into the 5 elements ecosystem. Of course, before that, Chen Zhuge will also help them strengthen their bloodlines. They are all 4th-level spirit beasts. Although the number of each type of spirit beast is only about 20, there are many types. Chen Zhuge is looking forward to a powerful spirit beast standing out. Finally, there are 1,000 mutant spirit beasts with stone dragon lizards as adapters. There are too many complicated bloodlines, and Chen Zhuge is too lazy to remember them. He will just see who is still alive and who is stronger. Among the 1,000 stone dragon lizards, except for the grey stone rat bloodline, the other 4 bloodlines were also injected by Chen Zhuge into the 4 experimental subjects. Looking at the 4 experimental subjects that could no longer produce any changes after being injected with a large amount of blood, Chen Zhuge was still a little disappointed. If his blood could be infinitely strengthened, he would probably be invincible. Fortunately, the combat power and potential of these mutant spirit beasts were still good, and they could be sold as stable products. However, in this case, the red dragon bloodline of the red flame sheep, the fire dragon bloodline of the spirit chicken, the crocodile dragon bloodline of the grass turtle and other bloodlines with good potential seem to be able to be used as main products. Then let's put all these stable high-quality bloodlines into the empty Linghu area. After sorting out the thoughts in his mind, Chen Zhuge began to draw blood from the ground. With the improvement of his cultivation and the increase in the reproduction of spirit beasts, he could extract a lot of blood again. The spirit beasts that had been reborn were placed in the Shangling Lake area. Finally, the Garden of Eden was no longer an empty shell. Oh, I haven't extracted the blood of the grass elves yet. I almost forgot. I am now a disciple of the celestial immortal, so I can be a little bolder. Chen Zhuge straightened his back when he remembered his background. However, the golden finger cannot be used carelessly outside. At least the bloodline transformation must be evolved into a magical power before I can use it a little more outside. Chen Zhuge never looked down on people. He had such a powerful golden finger, and he would become powerful sooner or later. There was no need to take risks. A large number of spiritual beasts filled the gap in the Garden of Eden. Although it was still a situation of vast land and sparse beasts, the vitality was much better than before. Looking at the red flame sheep king, who had already reached the 4th level, running around with his flock of sheep in a carefree manner, Chen Zhuge had an expression of good luck to you and muttered in a low voice, "You are so lucky. If Master hadn't expanded the Spirit Beast Garden, I would have sold you guys out long ago." Chen Zhuge was not envious of the Red Flame Sheep King's dozen wives and concubines, nor was he envious of his tens of thousands of younger brothers. He was simply concerned about the development of the Garden of Eden. Chen Zhuge, who had just turned around to leave, suddenly returned and grabbed a sturdy red flame sheep and said, "Let's have a roasted whole lamb tonight to go with the wine." The angry red flame sheep king kept roaring until Chen Zhuge disappeared, then he lowered his head and ate grass as if nothing had happened. Even if his intelligence was not high due to forcing things to happen, it did not mean that the red flame sheep king was a fool. His roaring was just an attitude problem, so forget it if he really wanted to fight. In the small courtyard, after Chen Zhuge settled the spirit beasts, he ate roasted lamb legs while saying to the breeder he personally selected, "Golden Wire Ironback Ape, starting tomorrow, you will have to work. You need to capture a certain amount of spirit chickens, snow rabbits and other spirit beasts tomorrow and release them into the 5 elements ecosystem." Looking at the golden-lined iron-backed apes standing upright one by one, Chen Zhuge nodded with satisfaction. They were worthy of being products of the Spirit Beast Palace, and it was worth the huge price he spent to buy these 34th Order Peak golden-lined iron-backed apes. After placing these monkeys in the gravel forest where the stone dragon lizard experimental subjects were originally placed, Chen Juge also used his golden finger to extract their chaotic blood. It won't be long before the 5th level golden ironback monkey will appear here. With the appearance of a large number of his kind, Zhang Ji finally became excited again, and rushed to the gravel road to fight. Chen Juge mourned for him in his heart. Golden ironback ape is a social ape, and likes to fight in groups. I hope Zhang Ji won't be beaten too badly. As for whether he would be beaten to death, Chen Juge was not worried. Except for the 5 elements ecological circle and the spirit beasts that Chen Juge had contracted himself, the spirit beast circles on the necks of other spirit beasts were all programmed to prevent the animals from being killed. Thanks to the great array master programmer, there is no spiritual beast circle for spirit chickens and snow rabbits. They are too weak. They are basically all at level 1, with only a few at level 2. However, the spiritual energy of the Garden of Eden has increased significantly this time, and it is possible that golden elixir level spirit chickens or snow rabbits will appear in a few years. The next step is to practice well, but before that I have to urge the spirit beasts below to practice. I am a beast tamer, and an elite one at that. It would be funny if the gap between the beast tamers and myself was too big. I cannot increase the difficulty of practice unnecessarily. Chapter 53 30 years. Time flies, years pass. From the time I arranged everything in the Garden of Eden to now, I have been practicing in seclusion for 30 years. In the secret room of the cave. The secret method of bloodline transformation manifested itself into the appearance of various mythical beasts, and finally turned into a string of wind chimes, hanging on the nascent soul that was exactly the same as Chen Juge's. Opening his eyes, Chen Juge let out a long breath and said, "Finally, they have evolved into magical powers, and their cultivation has reached the middle stage of the nascent soul." Unfortunately, although Erbay and Sanbei have survived the heavenly tribulation and become 4th level spirit beasts, the number of blood crystals they produce is still too small. The other medicinal snakes are too low level, and their body refining is only at the middle stage of the 4th level. Now that bloodline transformation has evolved into a magical power, I can finally let go and earn spirit stones. However, what is the situation in the wilderness realm? Chen Juge looked in the direction of the wilderness realm with some concern. 30 years ago, my younger sister Chen Xiaoyu and a group of disciples who had built their foundation were led by the sex celestial being to the savage realm. However, an accident occurred on that lost continent where the energy fluctuations did not seem to be high. Even later on, when the sex golden immortals were dispatched, they were still unable to start. According to the information Chen Juge had gathered, the restrictions on the lost continent seemed to have been lifted, but the requirement to enter was still below the golden core stage. On the contrary, the creatures already inside could advance freely. The latest news was brought by senior sister Wen Ruo, who said that spirit beasts with the cultivation level of Yuanying stage humans had appeared on that continent. Forget it. I hope good things will happen to my little sister. The wild world is too chaotic. Chen Juge could only shake his head and sigh helplessly. The savage realm is one of the more unique areas in the heavens, a gathering place for a large number of spiritual beasts, including the 3 famous tribes of dragon, phoenix, and unicorn. Some people even claim to have met Kyanki, one of the 10 evils, there. As to whether this is true or not, it is not certain, but the only thing that is certain is that the savage realm is very chaotic, and 99% of the cultivators who enter alone will die there. Even if it's chaotic, Chen Juge still has the identity of a disciple of the celestial elder of the myriad beasts sect, so it's not that he can't take a walk. It's just that this lost continent, which was originally ignored, has undergone changes. Many powerful races have begun to pay attention to this continent, and it is no longer a place for a nascent soul rookie like Chen Juge to go. After opening the door of the secret room, Chen Juge saw several naughty golden puppy pups playing in the yard. Chen Juge had no longer activated the formation of the cave. After all, there was a great celestial being like the master sitting not far away, so no one would dare to steal. Chen Juge even turned off the formation at the entrance of the Garden of Eden. The naughty cubs ran away as soon as they saw Chen Juge, leaving only the bravest one, staring at Chen Juge with its big black eyes, probably wondering why it had never seen this human before. Picking it up, Chen Juge stroked its golden dog head, very satisfied with the feel. Also, the bloodline of the golden dog has been optimized over the past 30 years. The purer the bloodline of the spirit beast, the higher the upper limit of the bloodline of the cub born. Just like this golden dog cub, its bloodline has been upgraded to the level of 6th order. Junior brother, have you come out from seclusion? The weak girl who looked like a country girl asked in surprise, wearing a straw hat, rolled up her sleeves, and carrying a wooden bucket. "Senior sister, thank you for your help." Chen Juke expressed his sincere gratitude. During these 30 years, Chen Juke had to concentrate on his cultivation, so most of the chores in the Garden of Eden were left to the spirit beasts. After all, spirit beasts were spirit beasts, and they were inevitably more careless, so the entire Garden of Eden looked a bit messy. Later, when the eldest senior sister learned about this, she took the initiative to help Chen Juke deal with the chores in the Garden of Eden. "No trouble, I've also been through the mortal world. Why are you here, little guy? Where are your parents?" Wen Ruo squatted down and responded to Chen Juke's words, while teasing the golden puppy that Chen Juke put down. Maybe they felt that the two bipeds were not fun without their friends, so the puppy snorted unhappily and stumbled outside with its short legs. "Junior brother, since you have come out of seclusion, you have to take care of the Garden of Eden by yourself. I'm afraid my inner demon tribulation will come soon." Wen Ruo spoke of the most terrifying inner demon tribulation on the road to becoming an immortal, but there was still a gentle smile on his face. Chen Juke understood what was going on after seeing this, and congratulated her. "Congratulations, senior sister. You are about to become an immortal. This is all thanks to my junior brother's Garden of Eden. I thought I could accumulate enough experience and temper myself by handling the chores in the peak, but I never thought that it was in my junior brother's Garden of Eden that I was moved by these cute little guys and purified my body and mind." Wen Ruo looked at the spirit beast cubs not far outside the cave from a distance and said calmly, "This is all due to my own efforts. The spirit beasts are just assisting me." Chen Juke shook his head. His eldest sister's talent could be ranked among the top 100 geniuses in the history of Baiko Peak, yet she was still so humble. As senior sister walked around the Garden of Eden, she finally stopped outside the Five Elements ecosystem. Wen Ruo exclaimed, "Junior brother, I have to say that you are a genius. Many spirit beasts in this ecosystem have high talent potential." Chen Juke shook his head modestly and said, "Senior sister, you think too highly of me. If it weren't for the apprenticeship gift given by my master, I wouldn't be able to build the Garden of Eden. Moreover, no matter how high their talents are, they can't compare to senior sister's Sanhua. Sanhua's situation is different. He is the descendant of the Chaos Beast. Now that he has completely stimulated the bloodline of the Seven-Star Kun, even the bloodline power of ordinary divine beasts is not as strong as Sanhua's." Wen Ruo disagreed. At this time, through the formation, one could see a thunder deer that was grazing peacefully with its head down, and it was suddenly attacked by a pillar of fire. Intense lightning burst out and extinguished the pillar of fire. The angry thunder deer looked at the fire demon not far away, its forehooves slightly bent, and with intense lightning flashing on its antlers, it charged towards the fire demon. The fire demon simply stretched out his huge hand with lava patterns and grabbed it through the lightning. With a roar, the thunder deer was split into two halves, and a bloody rain fell. This bloody scene also dampened the two people's interest in continuing the conversation. Wen Ruo left after telling others that someone would come to buy the spirit beast tomorrow. Taking a deep look at the powerful flame demon, Chen Juke was actually very satisfied in his heart, but his senior sister seemed to dislike seeing this scene just now, and he didn't want to show it. After a long time of feeling the smoothness of the immortal wine flowing down his throat, Chen Juke couldn't help but sigh, "I really don't know how those great masters who have been in seclusion for hundreds of years can bear it. The delicacies and fine wines in this world cannot be wasted." Standing on the roof of the small building, looking at the vast expanse of moonlight gathered by the giant moon frogs, listening to the occasional roar of the golden dog, mixed with the shrill and violent roar of the Five Elements ecosystem, "This is the Garden of Eden that completely belongs to me, Chen Juke." Being drunk was like having a big dream. When he woke up, Chen Juke felt a little pain in his head. He could not help but use his magic power to dispel the alcohol. He smiled bitterly and said, "I should drink more slowly in the future. I can't completely dissipate my magic power. But if I don't get drunk, it doesn't seem to make much sense to drink." Chapter 54. Visitors. Stepping over the bodies of the two beasts, Zhang Ji and Yu Meng, who shamelessly came to drink with him last night, Chen Juke felt unbalanced in his heart and could not help but kick the two beasts. Yu Meng stretched out her short hands to touch the place where she was kicked and turned around to continue sleeping. Zhang Ji had thick skin and didn't react at all. "It's hopeless." Chen Juke cursed in frustration and went out to breathe some fresh air. Who are you, senior brother?" As soon as he arrived at the courtyard, Chen Juke saw a young man with a handsome face and starry eyes teasing the little guy from yesterday. Junior brother Chen, you are finally awake. My name is Zhu Yinghuang, and I am from Suzaku Peak. I heard from senior sister Wen Ruo that you have a good spiritual beast, so I came here specifically to buy it. Zhu Yinghuang stood up and saluted. Senior brother Zhu, you're too polite. Chen Juke shook his head. Zhu Yinghuang, Zuk Peak, one can tell as soon as he is the direct descendant of the Zhu family. The Zhu family and the Wen family are old friends. Although senior sister Wen is not from the direct line of the Wen family, she is the most talented person in the Wen family. The person who can ask senior sister Wen to pass on a message, this Zhu Yinghuang, in addition to his status and position, is probably also very talented. Junior brother, senior sister Wen said that you have some good spirit beasts here, and I come from Suzaku Peak. I personally prefer spirit beasts that I like, preferably with fire attributes. Zhu Yinghuang was straightforward and stated his needs. Upon hearing this, Chen Juke understood in his heart. He was just a willful young master. There were so many spiritual beasts in the two giants, the Zhu family and the Vermilion Bird Peak, and none of them pleased him. Could this be the rebellious period of a cultivator? Chen Juke no longer had any expectations in his heart. He did not think that there were any spiritual beasts in his Garden of Eden that would please Zhu Yinghuang, so he just planned to deal with it. Taking Zhu Yinghuang directly into the Five Elements ecosystem, Chen Juke opened the formation outside the formation while introducing the general types of spiritual beasts in the Five Elements ecosystem. As for how many were left, Chen Juke himself was not quite sure now. Zhu Yinghuang smiled and said to Chen Juke, Junior brother Chen, your Five Elements ecological park is really generous. Let's go directly to the Fire Attribute Spirit Beast Cub Protection Area. Chen Juke did not refute. For a child of a big family like Zhu Yinghuang, the strength of the spirit beast was not important. As long as he had enough talent and potential, strength would only consume some resources. I don't know if Zhu Yinghuang was unlucky, but he didn't see any fire-attributed spirit beasts along the way. After letting go of the unicorn that the two had ridden all the way, Zhu Yinghuang saw the young spirit beasts playing inside through the magic circle and said in surprise, I didn't expect that junior brother actually has a fire dragon and a red dragon. It was just luck. Chen Juke responded with a smile. Thanks to the super breeding ability of the spiritual chicken, there are now dozens of fire dragons and red dragons in the entire ecosystem. Zhu Yinghuang did not ask any further questions. It was just a fire dragon and a red dragon. He just wanted to ask a few questions. However, as a true disciple of Suzaku Peak, Zhu Yinghuang had no prejudice against dragon species, but it was impossible for him to contract a dragon species spirit beast. Junior brother, I'm going to go in and take a look first, is that okay? Zhu Yinghuang now knows that this junior brother should have some ability, and he is now interested. Brother, you just go. Chen Juke did not refuse, but did not go in with him either. Because Chen Juke saw a group of little guys fighting fiercely and planned to go over to stop them. When he got closer, he found that it was a group of spirit beasts bullying a little monkey. The little monkey already had many scars on its body. Chen Juke looked at its tenacious and unyielding eyes, and felt a little sympathy in his heart. He used magic to drive away the other little guys. Seeing the little monkey limping and about to leave, Chen Juke called out to him, Hey, little guy, come with me. Looking at the little monkey who turned around and gave him a disdainful look, Chen Juke smiled and said, Little thing, come with me. After forcibly taking it into his hands, the little monkey was quite noisy. After giving it some healing pills, the originally grinning little monkey finally realized that the biped in front of him was helping him, so he put on a stern face and stopped struggling. Chen Juke thought this little guy was quite interesting. How about it? Will you come with me? Chen Juke asked again. If the little monkey still didn't agree, then forget it. Looking at the little monkey who disagreed but didn't make any noise, Chen Juke said with a smile, You little monkey are so cunning. If you don't say anything, I'll take it as your consent. Putting the little monkey on his shoulder, Chen Juke watched the dusty Zhu Yinghuang running out from the red bushes not far away. Chen Juke looked at Zhu Yinghuang with a question mark on his face. Aren't you a great cultivator who has returned to the Void Realm? How can you make yourself look so humiliated in this novice area of the highest Golden Core realm? Is this acceptable? Junior brother Chen, you are really awesome here. Looking at the excited Zhu Yinghuang, Chen Juke took a closer look at his face. He doesn't look like an unreliable person, does he? Senior brother Zhu, do you have a spirit beast that satisfies you? Chen Zhuge asked. Just as he asked the question, a half-grown fire demon jumped out from the red bushes. Roar! With a roar, the little fire demon rushed towards Zhu Yinghuang like a wild bull. He cast a spell to imprison the little flame demon. Zhu Yinghuang looked at the helpless and furious little flame demon with satisfaction and said, Junior brother, this is it. Do you want merits, spirit stones, or other natural treasures? I'll use spirit stones for part of it, and if possible, I'd like to exchange the other part for some spirit beast cubs. Chen Zhuge decided after using his spiritual sense to explore the assets in his hands. Well, does the spirit beast cub have any requirements? Zhu Yinghuang pondered. Any species, any potential is fine, but it's best if it reproduces quickly, said Chen Zhuge. This is easy. I will send it to you in a few days. I don't have too many spirit stones on me, so these 10 pieces of spirit marrow can be considered as the spirit stone part. Zhu Yinghuang generously handed over 10 pieces of glittering spirit marrow. Junior brother, just take it. I don't care about this little spiritual marrow. This little fire demon looks very pleasing to the eye. I like it very much. Zhu Yinghuang stuffed the spiritual marrow into Chen Zhuge's arms. Then he saw the little monkey on Chen Zhuge's body and asked, Junior brother Chen, this little monkey. Chen Zhuge briefly introduced it and said, I just scanned this area with my spiritual sense. It should be the only one in its group. I thought of taking it out. Anyway, I don't lack the resources of a little monkey to build a foundation. Junior brother, you are such a good man. Zhu Yinghuang praised. After finding the spirit beast he liked, Zhu Yinghuang was in a very good mood. He also chatted a lot with Chen Zhuge along the way. Finally, Zhu Yinghuang said, Brother Chen, when I come to your place next time, you must welcome me. Chen Zhuge waved his hand and said, Brother Zhu, what do you mean? I will definitely give you a warm welcome. Oh, don't be too enthusiastic. It's good enough for me to get some experience in Brother Chen's ecosystem. Zhu Yinghuang said with a smile. After bidding farewell to Zhu Yinghuang, Chen Zhuge began to look forward to the upcoming spirit beast business. With the publicity from Zhu Yinghuang, the young master of the Zhu family, he believed that the reputation of his Garden of Eden would be greatly enhanced. Chapter 55. Zhu Yinghuang's Gift. As Zhu Yinghuang, the current young master of the Zhu family, brought a little fire demon back to Sozaku Peak and contracted it, this move shocked half of Sozaku Peak, or to be more precise, shocked all the people of the Zhu family in Sozaku Peak. Hey, have you heard that the current young master of the Zhu family has actually contracted a fire demon? 2 red-clothed disciples on the Sozaku Peak whispered. The flame demon is not bad either. I heard it has a 6th level bloodline. It would be great if a young disciple like us could have a 6th level spirit beast. You can't say that. He is the young master of the Zhu family. The Zhu family has a true golden immortal. Even if he wants a divine beast, it probably won't be difficult. Who knows what he's thinking? Stop talking, the Zhu family is here. Looking at the gloomy faces of several Zhu family disciples, the 2 of them quickly dispersed. The leader was Zhu Ling from the Zhu family. She had a good-looking face, but a slightly thin mouth, which made her look a little cold. With a sullen face, she looked at the 2 disciples who were leaving and said unhappily, Brother Huang, what's wrong? Why did you contract a flame demon? Isn't our Zhu family's Sozaku good enough? I heard that the young master had already relented a little, but didn't Miss K previously contract a Kailan back? The bloodline of that Kailan is said to be very pure, much purer than the Sozaku cubs of our Zhu family's generation, so the young master was unwilling to do so. Zhu Zhilan, who was 1 step behind, sighed. It's useless to say so much. I heard that the ancestors were very angry. Fortunately, the fire demon seems to have its bloodline returned to its ancestral level, and its rank has been upgraded to the 7th level. With the status of the young master, there will be no problem at least before he becomes a true immortal. Zhu Huaiming, who was walking at the end, shook his head. Perhaps the topic affected their mood, and the 3 of them fell silent. At this moment, at the top of Sozaku Peak, there is the current peak master Zhu Sheng, who has reached the peak of celestial immortal cultivation and is known as the Great Sun Venerable. His fighting power is well known throughout the heavens even without the emergence of the Golden Immortal. Such a famous and powerful celestial being was so angry that he couldn't speak at this moment. Looking at this rebellious son in front of him, Zhu Sheng only felt heartache. Dad, Do you have any spiritual beast that can reproduce quickly? My brother is still waiting for the final payment from me. Zhu Yinghuang asked, ignoring his father's expression. You rebellious son, why did you want to contract such a spirit beast? Do you know how important your natal spirit beast is to you? Zhu Sheng said angrily. I like it. Zhu Yinghuang smiled as he looked at the little flame demon that was cowering in fear behind him. Just tell me whether there is or not. Zhu Yinghuang said in annoyance. The holy body of the great purgatory is really blind to you. Zhu Sheng said angrily. Why don't you ask the ancestor for it for me? Zhu Yinghuang pretended to leave. Go and choose it yourself. Throwing out a token, Zhu Sheng turned his back, out of sight, out of mind. Zhu Yinghuang left the hall with the token in his pocket and a smile on his face, planning to find some better spirit beasts for his good brother Chen Zhuge. In the main hall, Zhu Sheng, who was full of anger but had nowhere to hide, was pressed on the shoulder by a gentle hand. The owner of the hand said softly, Okay, don't be angry. As long as Xiao Huang likes it, Xiao Q's qualifications are not worse than Xiao Wang's. If it really doesn't work out, just let Xiao Ke do it. Alas, madam, I understand the truth, but this child is so annoying. The great purgatory holy body, such a top-notch holy body, is wasted like this. I feel heartbroken. Zhu Sheng covered his heart and said with regret. Okay, I don't know you yet. That little flame demon's bloodline has reverted to its ancestral level. Although it hasn't reached the level of an immortal beast, it's not bad either. The bloodlines of this generation of Suzaku cubs are very modeled. If you weren't unwilling, how could the little phoenix, who is so noisy, resist a celestial being like you? Bhu Shui rolled his eyes. Madam, you really understand me. How about having another child? Zhu Sheng said with a changed expression. Give me another child. Haha, if you are willing to give up your golden immortal avenue, I don't mind. Bhu Shui sneered. Zhu Sheng laughed awkwardly twice and dared not say anything more. Zhu Yinghuang, holding the Peak Master's token, came to the spirit beast breeding area of Zuk Peak. With a wave of his hand, he packed up a large number of spirit beasts, leaving only the deacon with a messy face who dared not make a sound. Zhu Yinghuang, with a lot of spirit beast bags tied to his body, rushed to Baiko Peak with an excited look on his face, shouting in his heart, Brother, I'm coming. Chen Zhuge, who was extracting blood from a newly born cub, heard Zhu Yinghuang's voice from a distance. Zhu Yinghuang's face was full of excitement, and the little fire demon on his neck looked the same, constantly waving his short little hands. Brother Zhu, what are you doing? Chen Zhuge didn't quite understand Zhu Yinghuang's feelings. The eldest young master of Suzaku Peak, the young master of the Zhu family, really fell in love with my little Garden of Eden? Brother, I'm bringing Xiao San to play inside. This is the spirit beast I promised you. After stuffing the spirit beast bag to Chen Zhuge, Zhu Yinghuang excitedly walked towards the ecosystem with the little flame demon. Looking at the spirit beast bag in his hand, Chen Zhuge was a little amused. After a careful inspection, Chen Zhuge took a breath of cold air. Isn't the number of these spirit beasts a bit too much, and their grade is also a bit high? Chen Zhuge shook his head and just kept this favor in mind, determined to return it when he had the chance. Among this group of spiritual beasts, Chen Zhuge was most concerned about two of them, the purple fire fox and the four-winged firebird. The purple fire fox is a fourth-rank spiritual beast. Its purple fur is deeply loved by female monks. Even though it has good combat power, it is mostly treated as a pet or a consumable material for making robes. Its reproduction speed is not slow. Generally speaking, it can reach adulthood in 10 years with careful care. The four-winged firebird is a fifth-tier spiritual beast. It has red fur that is consistent with the fire attribute spiritual beast, 2 pairs of huge wings, and its flying speed is top-notch among its peers. It can spit spiritual fire with a trace of fire attribute from its mouth, and has a huge market among low-tier cultivators. The other low-level spirit beasts are quite common fire-attributed spirit beasts, and there is nothing special about them. Chen Zhuge plans to release these fire-attributed spirit beasts into the red flame sheep area first. The area is still big enough for them to live in. Otherwise, these cubs will not survive in the ecosystem. After Chen Zhuge used the golden finger to deal with this batch of spirit beasts, the sky darkened. Listening to the screams of ghosts and wolves coming from the ecosystem, Chen Zhuge did not care. The value of the spirit beasts sent by Zhu Yinghuang this time was enough to buy dozens of little fire demons.
In order to thank Mr. Zhu for his gift, Chen Zhuge prepared a table of exquisite spiritual food. It was not until the stars hung high in the sky that Zhu Yinghuang came out with a feeling of being unsatisfied. "Brother Zhu, would you like to have a drink?" Chen Zhuge invited. Although young Master Zhu was used to eating high-level spiritual food, he did not dislike Chen Zhuge's meal. He sat down and said, "Brother Chen, you are more straightforward and free." Upon hearing this, Chen Zhuge immediately said, "Brother Zhu, you can come often when you are free. Basically, no outsiders come to the Garden of Eden. On weekdays, at most, Senior Sister Wen comes here." Now that Senior Sister Wen is in seclusion, Chen Zhuge has been alone. Zhu Yinghuang seemed to be waiting for this sentence, and responded impatiently, "This is what you said, Brother Chen, please don't refuse to welcome me when the time comes." "How could that be?" Chen Zhuge shook his head. With the breeze and bright moon, the two of them drank wine. "The wine makes my ears warm and I feel high-spirited. The stars are shining, worthy of the beautiful scenery. Being together is fate, it should be clear as day." Chapter 56, Master's Assessment. After staying for 3 days, Zhu Yinghuang finally brought the little flame demon back to his vermilion bird peak. Looking at Zhu Yinghuang, who looked like he was still unsatisfied, Chen Zhuge felt a little speechless. It was really rare to see a return to Void Cultivator being so lively. In the past few days, Zhu Yinghuang has made the spiritual beasts in the 5 elements ecosystem suffer a lot. Except for some stubborn spiritual beasts, the rest would rather stay in the cave and starve than go out. After asking the keepers at the Garden of Eden to release some golden retrievers and snow rabbits into the ecosystem, Chen Zhuge did not interfere much. When Chen Zhuge returned to the courtyard, he saw the fire Kiran, whose bloodline had been purified again, and the little monkey he had brought out a few days ago, playing there. The little monkey is a Luo monkey, named Dashan by Chen Zhuge. No one knows if it has mutated. It is obviously only a 5th level bloodline, but it can actually release Luo. It is outrageous. The new little monkey couldn't play with anyone and even ignored the war songs of other apes. Unexpectedly, he could get along well with Dabai. "Dabai, come here, let me see how your bloodline is now." Chen Zhuge called Dabai over, then probed it with his golden finger, frowning. "What's going on?" Dabai uses the medicine snake as an adapter, and the medicine snake has a pure bloodline created by the Great Elder. After using bloodline transformation to eliminate the remaining medicine snake bloodline, Dabai should have become a pure-blooded Kailan. Why would other bloodlines reappear in the body? This didn't happen with the stone dragon lizard before. Chen Zhuge was very puzzled. Although he could only vaguely feel the existence of these bloodlines, Chen Zhuge was not sure what specific bloodlines they were because the quantity was too small. "It seems that my knowledge about spirit beasts is still too low. It seems that I need to strengthen my study in this area in the future." "Hey, Zhuge, have you cultivated supernatural powers?" Wen Tianming suddenly appeared behind Chen Zhuge and asked in surprise. "Ah, Master, yes, I just came out of seclusion a few days ago and succeeded." Chen Zhuge said respectfully. Yes. I originally accepted you as my apprentice just for the sake of this fire Kailan. I didn't expect you to have such a high talent in taming beasts." Rubbing his chin for a while, Wen Tianming continued, "I originally thought it would take you 100 years to master it. This has disrupted my plan. How about this, you show me first." Wen Tianming waved his hand and took in the nearby mountain. He took out a piece of spiritual material that was as bright as the sun, cut off a small piece and said, "The essence of the Sunday. I collected a sun from a small world and condensed it. This piece is enough for your little monkey. It can't digest too much." "Thank you, Master." Chen Zhuge couldn't help but sigh at Dashan's good luck. This was a monkey who was blessed. Sitting cross-legged in front of the mountain, as the secret hand gesture was completed, the essence of the sun slowly merged into the body of the mountain. The originally small body began to swell, and the red hair turned golden. An hour later, the spell was over, and the greatly transformed mountain was lying down to digest the changes in its blood. Seeing this, Wen Tianming nodded with satisfaction and said, "Not bad, not bad. Since you have a talent in taming beasts, as your master, I should support you." The records in these jade slips are considered to be the most common and comprehensive basic knowledge about spirit beasts among the immortals. This token can be used in all lecture halls. If you don't understand something, you can go to the beast taming lecture hall to learn more. Wen Tianming handed out a pile of jade slips and a white jade token. You have arranged this cave magic weapon very well. I think I have almost spent all the resources I gave you last time. Take these. The apprenticeship ceremony will be in 10 years. Remember to notify your relatives to attend. Looking at the storage ring filled to the brim, Chen Zhuge was deeply moved. Even though these resources were of no use to the heavenly immortal venerable, to Chen Zhuge, these resources were simply too tempting. Master, Chen Zhuge felt a little embarrassed to take it. The resources this time might be 10 times more than last time. Just take it. As my disciple, if you don't even have enough resources for cultivation, your friends will laugh at you to death. Just focus on your cultivation and achieve the divine transformation as soon as possible. If you don't achieve the divine transformation, you won't even be qualified to travel. Wen Tianming shook his head. Yes, Master. Chen Zhuge said gratefully. I'll have a meal here today, is that okay? Wen Tianming said with a smile as he walked around the courtyard. Master, wait. Chen Zhuge has put in all his effort and has brought his cooking skills to the extreme. I hope his master won't be disgusted. Picking up a piece of fresh fish, Wen Tianming said with emotion, Zhuge, you must remember that immortals are also human beings. If you give up everything you have as a human being in order to become an immortal, you are not an immortal, you are a demon. Only by sticking to your original intention can you become an immortal. Remember Master's teachings. Chen Zhuge said seriously. Ah. After clearing the food on the table, Wen Tianming stood up and said, Zhuge, my lifespan is approaching, and you need to practice on your own during this period. If you don't understand anything, wait for your senior sister to come out of retreat, or go to the sex lecture hall to ask the lecturers. My token still has some face. Yes, Master. Chen Zhuge said with some concern. Don't worry, it's just the second lifespan calamity. I still have confidence. Don't think too much. Just practice well. After giving the instructions, Wen Tianming left on the wind. Chen Zhuge could only silently bless his master in his heart. Master, the scary old man is gone. Dabai, who had been hiding in the small building, stuck his head out and looked around. Looking at Dabai who was so timid, Chen Zhuge said with a smile, That's my master, what are you afraid of? Dabai shook his body and said, Master, you don't understand. Chen Zhuge was speechless. How could I not understand? That was a fairy. She just blew her breath and we couldn't even keep her ashes. Hey, is this a big mountain? Dabai touched the big mountain curiously. Okay, don't move Dashan. Chen Zhuge looked at Dabai with disdain. Okay, then I'll go play with Sister Yu Ming. Dabai left with some disappointment. Dabai's cultivation level has increased very quickly. In just 30 years, he has already reached the late nascent soul stage. However, his personality is still like that of a child and he is timid. He needs to find an opportunity to let his spirit beast experience some skills. Otherwise, it will not be enough to just have a high level of cultivation. Under the starlight, Chen Zhuge took out a jade scroll on Qi training realm beast taming given by his master and read it carefully. It was not until Chen Zhuge was awakened by the crowing of the roosters that he realized it was already dawn. I didn't expect that there are so many tricks to taming beasts in the Qi training stage. It seems that my knowledge is indeed not enough. Chen Zhuge sighed. What Chen Zhuge didn't know was that all this knowledge of beast taming was compiled personally by the Grand Elder of the Sex Main Hall. He was a golden immortal, and an expert at beast taming. The quality of his knowledge and understanding of beast taming was far higher than those ordinary jade slips placed in the sex scripture pavilion. I almost forgot. I have to notify my family. Chen Zhuge suddenly thought of it because he almost forgot about this jade slip. Chapter 57. Taoist Soldiers. I don't know if my mother has come out of confinement. And since my father isn't answering the message, is he fighting again? Chen Zhuge said worriedly as he watched the message go unanswered for a long time. After a long time, a figure finally appeared on the screen, with his upper body naked and his back facing the screen. Chen Chen's dull voice sounded, Son, what's the matter? Father, why are you facing away from me? Chen Zhuge was a little confused. Nothing. What's the matter? Your father and I have something urgent to do later. Chen Chen waved his hand and said hurriedly. It's not a big deal. I just worshipped a celestial being, and there will be a master-disciple ceremony 10 years later. My master asked my relatives to attend, so I came to discuss with you who should go. Chen Zhuge said.
What did you say? Chen Chen's big face hit the communication stone directly. Looking at the dark blue eyes, Chen Zhuge's mouth twitched and he said, Dad, are your eyes okay? That's not important. Do you really want to take the immortal as your master? Chen Chen said excitedly. Ah! Madam, our son has become successful. Chen Zhuge watched him run away until he disappeared into the range covered by the communication light curtain. About a quarter of an hour later, Chen Zhuge heard their voices again. Chen Chen, if you are lying to me, you are dead this time. I will definitely beat you into a pig's head. Hua Yu sneered. Looking at his mother who was still graceful and elegant, and his father who was nodding and bowing beside him, Chen Zhuge said with a smile, Mother. Well, Xiao Zhuge, your father said that you have taken the immortal as your master? He also said that he wants us to attend the apprenticeship ceremony 10 years later. Hua Yu said with a fluctuating expression. Yes, Mother. The apprenticeship ceremony will be held in 10 years. Our master is the third elder of Baiko Peak. Chen Zhuge said. Great, I didn't expect that Xiao Zhuge has become so successful. Poor Xiao is still in that wild world and doesn't know whether he is alive or dead. Hua Yu's originally excited mood suddenly became depressed. Mother, don't think too much. I will ask master. Chen Zhuge felt a little bit reluctant when looking at his sad mother. After the three of them chatted about family matters for a while, they reluctantly hung up the phone. In fact, when Wen Tianming came yesterday, Chen Zhuge asked about it during dinner. Master just said not to worry, that there were not many casualties among the disciples over there, they just seemed unable to get out for the time being, and the danger was not great. Master was not clear about the specific situation. After all, Master's life calamity was about to end. I should find a way to increase my strength. My chi training needs to be consolidated, but body training does not require this. Master has a lot of resources sent to me, and I have to speed up the extraction of the blood of the newly born spirit beasts in recent years. I also have to find time to study the jade slips. I'm really busy. After sighing, Chen Zhuge felt that he might be able to learn about Taoist soldiers and cultivate some to handle the chores in the Garden of Eden for him. After thinking about the Taoist soldiers, Chen Zhuge did not waste any time and went straight to the Sutra Library on Baiko Peak. Because of his status as the third elder's direct disciple, Chen Zhuge had unimpeded access to this sutra repository and could take any martial arts technique he wanted. Although it is only the Sutra Library of Baiko Peak, the number of books in it is ridiculously large. If I were to search for them by myself, it would probably take a lot of time. Dong dong dong. I knocked on the bookshelf closest to the entrance, and saw a small book spirit, about the size of an adult's palm, with a sleepy look on its face, crawling out from the top. Boy, what are you doing? Shu Ling was a little grumpy after waking up, and now looked at Chen Zhuge with an unhappy face. Looking at the cute little guy in front of him, Chen Zhuge just smiled and asked, Senior, I want to find the secret method of refining Taoist soldiers, do you know where it is? Look for a book, 10 points of merit or 20 points of spiritual power. Hearing that there was business, the book spirit was no longer angry. Taking out 100 upper spirits from the storage ring, Chen Zhuge said with a smile, Senior, by the way, please recommend me a Taoist soldier secret method that is more suitable for me. The boy is teachable and sensible. Watch me. The book spirit took the spirit stone with satisfaction, closed his eyes, opened them again, and then 3 jade slips appeared in front of him. 10,000 Woods Taoist soldiers has lower combat power than the same level and relatively fewer cultivation resources. It belongs to the category of magic Taoist soldiers. Its special ability is to speed up the growth of spiritual herbs and medicines. It is the most popular Taoist soldier in Baiko Peak. Green Ivy Taoist soldier has medium combat power at the same level, has more cultivation resources, is a body refining Taoist soldier, and has the special ability of self-repair. Purple Blood Taoist soldier has superior combat power at the same level and huge resources for cultivation. It is a body refining Taoist soldier and its special ability is also self-repair. Boy, you are practicing the Green Vine Immortal Body. Of these 3 Taoist weapons, they are the most suitable for you. Of course, the last 2 are more suitable for you than the first one. If you are not satisfied with any of them, you can only go to the main hall to have a look. Shu Ling said in a mature manner. After reading the brief introduction, Chen Zhuge pondered for a moment and ruled out 10,000 wood soldiers first. He was not a spiritual plant master, and there were many plant elves in the Garden of Eden, which was enough. Senior, which of the latter two do you think is suitable for me? Chen Zhuge was a little hesitant about the two. You should be Wen Tianming's new disciple. Although the old guy has a bad temper, he is rich and generous. Of course, you should choose the most expensive one. The purple blood Taoist soldier can fight and resist, and if you are lucky, you can awaken the purple pattern and become a top Taoist soldier. It just costs a little more resources. The book spirit advised. Then let's do as you say, senior. Chen Zhuge decided to listen to Shu Ling's advice. Boy, do you want the materials for the purple blood Taoist soldier? The book spirit called out to Chen Zhuge, who was about to leave. After some bargaining, Chen Zhuge left with a gloomy face and without saying a word. The only one left in the sutra library was the book spirit, staring at the spiritual stone with eyes full of golden light. When they returned to the Garden of Eden, Chen Zhuge's expression changed instantly. He smiled and said, I didn't expect this book spirit to be such an old monster. The materials he sold to me were probably sold at prices from a long time ago. Now they have increased several times. It's a huge profit. After preparing the materials, Chen Zhuge planned to refine a Taoist weapon first to see the results. The refining of Taoist weapons is actually very simple. The quality of Taoist weapons depends mainly on the quality of the spiritual materials used to make them. Although the manufacturing method has an impact, it is not significant. Looking at the Taoist soldier in purple armor standing in front of him that was nearly 3 meters tall, Chen Zhuge's face turned pale. My goodness! The refining of a Taoist soldier actually consumed all my spiritual energy. The next step is to drop a drop of essence and blood to activate it. Chen Zhuge's originally pale face turned even paler, and the light blue essence and blood merged into the body of the Taoist soldier. The purple-blooded Taoist soldier opened his eyes, and countless spiritual energy from the surrounding merged into his body. In order to prevent insufficient spiritual energy, Chen Zhuge directly picked up the Taoist soldier and put him into the spiritual lake with the most spiritual energy to soak. Kigongchakuki Kintan Yuanying great perfection. So strong. Chen Zhuge was very surprised. He was only in the middle stage of the nascent soul, but this soldier had already reached the great perfection of the nascent soul. Chen Zhuge didn't even think about it. Buying materials for 100 Taoist soldiers cost 1/3 of the resources given by Wen Tianming. Even a Mahayana cultivator would probably be jealous of this amount of resources. It was already very little to exchange for 100 Yuanying great perfection Taoist soldiers. Owner. The purple-blooded Taoist soldier jumped out of the spirit lake and knelt on one knee. From now on you will be called Dzi, the leader of the purple-blood Taoist soldiers. Chen Zhuge said with satisfaction as he looked at the Taoist soldier who was half kneeling and taller than him. Chapter 58, The Famous Garden of Eden. It is not easy to refine purple-blood Taoist soldiers. At most, you can only refine a few in a day. This is because of the high-level healing pills left by the master. Because his cultivation was not good enough to go out, Chen Zhuge was not in a hurry. He only refined one Taoist weapon a day. However, he dripped a drop of essence and blood every day, which greatly stimulated the progress of his cultivation of green vine immortal body and improved his recovery ability a lot. It could be said to be a blessing in disguise. Bang! As Zhang Ji fell helplessly, Chen Zhuge looked at the purple-blooded Taoist soldier who only had some scratches on his body, and said with satisfaction, it's worthy of spending so many of my resources. I'm afraid that ordinary late nascent soul cultivators are no match for him. Of course, what is generally referred to here are independent practitioners without any sect or school. The purple-blood Taoist soldiers are body-refining Taoist soldiers who are better at attack and defense, so it is normal for them to have this strength. I don't accept it. Zhang Ji said sullenly. As the strongest fighter under Chen Zhuge, Zhang Ji's strength has always been very good. However, due to his relaxed living environment, he has not had much experience in life and death battles, so his combat experience is indeed a bit lacking. There's nothing to be dissatisfied about. You've been living very comfortably since you followed me until now. It's normal that you lack combat experience. Next, I will equip each of you with a Taoist soldier. Chen Zhuge said solemnly to the spirit beasts who were watching the show. Especially you. Looking at Yu Meng who wanted to refute, Chen Zhuge said sternly, Yuemen, I asked you to study alchemy well. In the past 30 years, you have to become a first-level alchemist. You are Yuetu, you probably don't even need to learn to become a first-level alchemist. Yu Meng, who was exposed, turned her head away embarrassedly. I'll give you another chance. 3 months later, I'll check it myself. If you don't become a second-level alchemist, you'll be the same as them. After Chen Zhuge issued the ultimatum, he didn't even look at Yu Ming, who had a droopy face. While Chen Zhuge was arranging the training plan for his spirit beasts, the reputation of the Garden of Eden spread rapidly outside. The cause was that Zhu Yinghuang heard a disciple from Suzaku Peak discussing whether he was crazy for contracting the flame demon. Then, Zhu Yinghuang, who was furious, used the third-level flame demon to duel with the disciple. The disciple is from the Chen family. Although it is not a first-rate family like the Zhu family, it is also a second-rate family. His cultivation is just at the return to Void Realm, and he has just contracted a divine fire horse with blood. There are families with the same surname as the protagonist, but they are not the protagonist's family. If so, I will write it down. The divine fire horse with the golden crow bloodline was not weak in combat power among those of the same level. Everyone thought that Zhu Yinghuang, the young master of the Zhu family, had brought shame upon himself. At the beginning, the onlookers thought just as they did. The little flame demon who had no combat experience was no match for the divine fire horse. If it weren't for his thick skin and flesh, he would have lost long ago. The scarred little flame demon looked back at Zhu Yinghuang, whose face was filled with worry, and thought about the happy life he had spent with her over the past few days. This was the happiest time for the little flame demon since he was born. He stood up again and roared angrily at the divine fire horse, which was holding its head high and looking smug. Naturally, the provoked divine fire horse would not tolerate his loser. The spiritual energy in the body continued to gather on the red horn on the top of the head, and the rapidly rising heat made people feel dry and thirsty. The dry lines on the little flame demon's body began to light up, and a lava-like substance slowly flowed over his body. Patter! Ho ho! The two sides met and collided, and the powerful spiritual energy dissipated in all directions, and the red fire spiritual energy covered the situation in the center of the battlefield. However, the disciples watching the battle were at least at the nascent soul stage, so it was still easy for them to see the central scene clearly. How is it possible that a 6th level flame demon actually defeated the divine fire horse? What 6th level? This is obviously a 7th level mutant flame demon. I was wondering how could senior brother Zhu's vision be so poor that he would choose an ordinary flame demon. So what if it's a mutated flame demon? The divine fire horse has the blood of the golden crow. As long as it can be activated, the power of its spiritual fire will increase significantly. It is simply not something that a spiritual beast like the flame demon can resist. Are you from our Wanshao sect? Do you know that the potential of mutant spirit beasts is unlimited? You are such a poor student. I am ashamed to be associated with you. The noise from the outside world could not disturb Zhu Yinghuang, who was happy at the moment. Looking at the wounded little flame demon, he roared viciously. Zhu Yinghuang immediately went up to the stage, hugged him and said happily, "Xiao-san, you are really great." The little flame demon, who was originally very happy, fainted when he heard the name. It is destruction after all. Zhu Yinghuang, who discovered that his mistress had fainted, hurriedly fed it a large amount of high-level healing pills, and only stopped when he caught it with one hand. Looking up at the owner of the hand with curiosity, Zhu Yinghuang said dissatisfiedly, "What are you doing, little sister? Didn't you see that my mistress fainted? Boy, if you keep feeding her, your mistress will explode and die." The fire Kirin beside Zhu Yingke rolled his eyes speechlessly. "Brother, I have something to ask you, let's find a quiet place." Zhu Yingke said calmly. He knew that his younger sister had always looked down on him. It was okay before that her cultivation was lower than his, but ever since she brought back the Fire Kirin contract and broke through to the Return to Void stage, she has been so disrespectful to him. If he hadn't called him big brother, others would have thought he was her younger brother. "Little sister, what's the matter?" Although the little sister did not respect him as the elder brother, Zhu Yinghuang still cared about her very much. The third elder of Baiko Peak has accepted a new disciple. This disciple is called Chen Zhuge. He is the one who sold the flame demon to you, big brother. It is said that the reason why he was accepted as a direct disciple by the elder is because he has a fire Kylin with extremely pure bloodline. And I checked, and this Chen Zhuge was also in the secret realm of the Black Kirin Fairy City more than 30 years ago. I want big brother to take me to have a look. Zhu Yingke's face did not change, but she was still very unconvinced in her heart. She had already contracted a fire Kirin, so why would a fire Kirin with purer blood than the one she had contracted appear? Zhu Yinghuang, who knew his little sister very well, said with some embarrassment, Brother can introduce you and take you there, but you can't lose your temper. This is Brother Chen's own opportunity. I can't be a villain. Who is the villain? I just went to see if it's true. And you should read less storybooks. You believe in these nonsense stories from the mortal world. Zhu Yingke said with some defense broken. That's good. Let me tell you, Brother Chen is so interesting. Before Zhu Yinghuang could finish his words, he saw his younger sister turn around and leave, leaving behind a sentence. 3 days later. Really? She's not cute at all now that she's grown up. She was so cute when she was a child. Damn it. Zhu Yinghuang was a little annoyed. The fight between Zhu Yinghuang and the disciples of Suzaku Peak made Little Flame Demon famous, as well as the Garden of Eden famous, and then Chen Zhuge was naturally exposed as well. The Chen family, with the true immortal in charge, is a third-rate family and not a complete vassal of the Wanshao sect. It has been accepted as a disciple by the third elder of Baiko Peak and is currently a direct disciple of Baiko Peak, with cultivation level probably in the middle stage of the nascent soul. The inner disciples who saw this information were all very envious of Chen Zhuge. He actually had the luck to have a celestial elder as his teacher. Chapter 59. The Zhu family brothers and sisters visit. The spread of Eden's reputation caught Chen Zhuge off guard. First, the disciples from Zuk Peak with strong execution ability came to Baiko Peak through the teleportation array the next day and asked Chen Zhuge to buy spiritual beasts. He thought that these disciples just accidentally heard that he had spirit beasts for sale and came to take a look, but he didn't expect that more people came the next day, and most of them were disciples from Suzaku Peak. Only then did Chen Zhuge realize the effect of young Master Zhu's human-shaped advertisement. In order to receive customers, Chen Zhuge didn't even have enough time to refine Taoist soldiers. Moreover, most of these disciples were ordinary disciples without any family background, so the spirit stones Chen Zhuge earned were not actually that many. In order to save time, Chen Zhuge appointed Dabai, the least courageous one, as the shopping guide. He roughly divided the spiritual beasts in the ecosystem into a price range. This could be considered as training Dabai's courage first. After all, he would make pure profit, so it was just a matter of how much. After seeing off the last guest of the morning, Dabai couldn't help but stick out his tongue, looking as if he was exhausted, and planned to ask for credit from the host. The roasted whole lamb is good, but the roasted chicken is also okay, and the braised rabbit head is also very fragrant. Dabai thought wildly. Taking a step forward, Dabai found that he seemed not to be standing on the ground. He was a little confused. He looked down and found that it was okay. He thought he was going to fall into the pit, but he was just lifted up by someone. What a ghost! Who are you? Put me down now, or I will bite you to death. Dabai tried hard to look fierce. Zhu Yingke looked at the little fire Kiran in front of her who seemed to be acting cute, and couldn't help but look at her own fire Kiran curiously and said, Qi De Yuan, are all your fire Kirans like this when they are young? Qi De Yuan was speechless and said, how is this possible? Kailan is a mythical beast. The fire Kailan is the strongest of the 5 elements Kailan. How could it have looked like this when it was a child? Then what's going on with this little guy? Zhu Yingke reached out and touched Dabai's head with some curiosity. Well, little sister, this fire Kailan should be Brother Chen's beast. Isn't it inappropriate for us to carry it like this? Zhu Yinghuang reminded. 2. Come here, little guy, take me to find your master. This fire element fruit will be your apology. Zhu Yingke put Dabai down, took out a fruit with rich fire spirit and said. Looking at the fruit in front of him that exuded an alluring scent, Dabai said with a painful expression, I can't possibly betray my master. Seeing Dabai's expression, Zhu Yingke covered her mouth and chuckled. Dabai, bring Brother Zhu and the others over here. Chen Zhuge had just finished refining a Taoist soldier. He originally wanted to use his spiritual sense to see if Dabai was slacking off, but he unexpectedly saw Zhu Yinghuang and his Kailan. I'll take you there, will you give this fruit back to me? Dabai said with a look of longing. For you. Zhu Yingke said with a smile. He took the fruit and carefully put it into the storage ring hanging around his neck. Dabai then brought the 2 people and the Kailan to the edge of Linghu Lake. Brother Chen, I brought my little sister to your place to play. And did you know that Xiao San defeated the divine fire horse with the golden crow bloodline a few days ago? Zhu Yinghuang said proudly. Oh, is that so? Congratulations Brother Zhu for your keen eye. Xiao San has great potential. Chen Zhuge praised. My sister's name is Zhu Yingke, you can just call her Xiok. Zhu Yinghuang said carelessly. Zhu Yingkei's mouth twitched unnaturally and said, "Hello, senior brother Chen. I came here today mainly to see this little guy." Zhu Yingkei pointed at Dabai who was squatting on the ground happily eating fruit. "Junior sister Zhu, what do you want to talk to Dabai about?" Chen Zhuge pretended not to know. Before, Chen Zhuge did not worship the Tianxian elder as his master, and his strength was not as good as Zhu Yingkei, so he had to call her senior sister. Now that their identities are almost the same as the elder's disciples, the elders have become senior brothers. "Senior brother Chen, more than 30 years ago, when my junior sister was in the secret realm to make a contract with Daiyuan, you were also in the secret realm. A few years later, my senior brother completed his mission and returned to the sect. Just because of this fire unicorn, he was noticed by the celestial elder and became his disciple." Zhu Yingkei said with an expression that said, "I know everything." Zhu Yinghuang frowned and said, "Little sister, how can you investigate brother Chen? This is too much." "Brother Zhu, don't worry. I want to know what my junior sister means by this." Chen Zhuge said, putting away his smile. "Well, senior brother Chen, I don't mean anything else. I just want to ask if you have a secret method to make the blood of spirit beasts purer? Don't say you don't have one. A few days ago, I asked the disciples from Suzaku Peak to buy spirit beasts from you, and the blood of the spirit beasts we bought back was relatively pure." Zhu Yingkei said with a look as if he could see through you. Chen Zhuge felt relieved when he heard this. Fortunately, he had already transformed bloodline transformation into a magical power. "Junior sister, don't you know the myriad transformations of bloodline?" Chen Zhuge said with a look of incomprehension. "Could it be that you have mastered the magical power of all kinds of bloodline transformation?" "Impossible. I checked and found that it has been less than 200 years since you started practicing, and you broke through to the nascent soul stage about 50 years ago. It is impossible for you to master the magical power of all kinds of bloodline transformation in such a short time." Zhu Yingkei looked unconvinced. In Zhu Yingkei's opinion, Chen Zhuge was just lucky to have a fire unicorn and was favored by the elders. Catching a tree turtle that accidentally wandered over, Chen Zhuge demonstrated his bloodline transformation ability. Looking at the tree turtle that had transformed from level 4 to level 5, Zhu Yingkei felt his face burning. His guess was correct. Chen Zhuge did know the secret method of purifying the blood of spirit beasts. However, Zhu Yingkei did not expect that this was the secret method of his Wanshao sect. He did not expect that Chen Zhuge had evolved it into a magical power. He was really embarrassed this time. Qi Daiyuan on the side didn't have this burden of face. Seeing that the upper limit of bloodline had increased from level 4 to level 5 without any side effects, Qi Daiyuan pounced on Chen Zhuge's thigh and said with a servile smile, brother, I want to have that Wanhua too." Chen Zhuge looked at Qi Daiyuan on his thigh with an expressionless face, thinking, wasn't this guy a celestial being in his previous life? Why is he so shameless? Qi Daiyuan. Zhu Yingkei felt like she was about to catch fire. It was so embarrassing. After a farce, Zhu Yingkei took out a 5 elements fire element, bowed and apologized, "I'm sorry, senior brother Chen, it's my fault." Chen Zhuge didn't think it was a big deal. With Zhu Yingkei as a witness, it would be much easier to explain the issue of the pure bloodline of his Garden of Eden spirit beasts in the future. "Senior brother Chen, I would like to ask you to help me purify Daiyuan's bloodline in the future," Zhu Yingkei said. Chen Zhuge was a little puzzled and said, "Junior sister, although the secret method of blood transformation is difficult, there are still many senior brothers and elders who have evolved it into magical powers. With the strength of the Zhu family, it should not be difficult to invite one." Zhu Yinghuang heard this and shook his head, "I know this. The myriad bloodlines can evolve into magical powers, but when they first evolve, they can only be considered minor magical powers. But if they can evolve successfully in the nascent soul stage, they may evolve into major magical powers, which will have a better effect. This is probably the opportunity that my little sister wants. There is such a saying." Chen Zhuge finally understood Zhu Yingkei's purpose, so he accepted the apology and agreed to this matter. Of course, if she failed, she couldn't blame him, and Zhu Yingkei understood this. Chapter 60. Zhu Yingkei and Qi Daiyuan. With Zhu Yinghuang as a lubricant, Chen Zhuge and Zhu Yingkei gradually became familiar with each other. As time went by, Zhu Yinghuang couldn't sit still anymore and said to the two of them, "Little sister, do you want to go with me to Brother Chen's ecological park?" Zhu Yingkei was not very willing to go, but if her elder brother went, it would not have a good impact if she stayed here alone, so Zhu Yingke could only nod helplessly. Brother Chen, I'll take my little sister to check it out, is everything okay? Zhu Yinghuang asked Chen Zhuge with great etiquette. Seeing Zhu Yinghuang already walking to the gate of the courtyard, Chen Zhuge said with a smile, Brother Zhu, just go and play, and don't disturb the spirit beast inside. Although Zhu Yinghuang did not mess around in the ecosystem last time, he did prevent some spirit beasts from preying on him several times. The spirit beasts he rescued were still mighty and violent spirit beasts of the same type as the flame demon. This made Chen Zhuge now doubt Zhu Yinghuang's aesthetic taste. Thank you so much, senior brother Chen. Let's go, De Yuan. After expressing his gratitude, Zhu Yingke called out to Qi De Yuan who was lying beside Chen Zhuge. I won't go. You go by yourselves. I'm a celestial being and I have seen all kinds of spiritual beasts. Qi De Yuan refused without hesitation. If you have the time, you might as well build a good relationship with the human in front of you. If that doesn't work, you can build a relationship with that stupid and greedy fellow. Seeing that Qi De Yuan was unmoved, Zhu Yingke decided to give up. After all, there was no danger here. The brother and sister soon arrived at the ecological park. Zhu Yingke looked at the 4th level unicorn not far away and said, Hey, there's actually a unicorn here. It looks like it has good talent and potential. Little sister, there are so many good things here, but the prices of those spiritual beasts are relatively high. The ordinary disciples you arranged probably can't afford them. Zhu Yinghuang whispered. After hearing what her brother said, Zhu Yingke also became interested. There are the thunder deer with lightning flashing on its horns, the greedy moonwolf howling towards the sky, the mountain turtle as motionless as a rock, the majestic fire dragon and red dragon, the brutal-looking crocodile dragon and fire demon, and other spiritual beasts. There are really many varieties. Zhu Yingke exclaimed. I'll take you to another good place. Zhu Yinghuang said mysteriously. Not long after, Zhu Yinghuang brought Zhu Yingke to the fire protection area. Pointing at the cubs of spirit beasts playing inside the formation, he said, Little sister, these are all cubs of spirit beasts. Don't you like small animals the most? Go and take a look. Zhu Yingke was stunned for a moment when she heard this. Ever since she started practicing at the age of 8, her elder brother had been restricted by her parents and seldom visited her. It has been almost 60 years now. She didn't expect that her elder brother, whom she had always looked down upon, still remembered her hobbies before she was 8 years old. Really? Then I'll go take a look. Zhu Yingke went in first to hide her expression. Seeing the two people come in, the young spirit beasts that were playing around all turned their heads to look at them. One of the little ones recognized Zhu Yinghuang as the two-legged beast that had been here before, and ran over in a hurry. Seeing many spirit beasts running towards his eldest brother, Zhu Yingke was a little curious, but didn't dare to ask. Little sister, see? This is the charm of big brother. Look how cute this puppy is. And this fire dragon, it was also very cute when it was a child. Zhu Yinghuang held the fire spirit dog in one hand and the fire dragon in the other, and smiled at Zhu Yingke. Seeing the two little beasts busy chewing the spiritual fruit in their hands, Zhu Yingke also knew why her elder brother was so popular. She took out a fruit, picked up the outermost fire fox, and gently asked, Little guy, do you want to eat it? Fire Fox didn't understand why the pie fell in front of him, but he still honestly stretched out his short hands to grab the fruit in front of him. The brother and sister were happily relaxing in the ecological park, but Qi De Yuan was not in such a good mood. Originally, he stayed to build a good relationship with this human so that he could practice more magical powers and purify his bloodline as soon as possible. However, as soon as his little master left, this human ignored the great former immortal and went to practice Taoism. Damned human, do you know that I am the boss? When I return to the status of a celestial being, I will let you know what it means to be out of your reach. No, it seems his master is also a celestial being, damn it. Qi De Yuan complained angrily. Looking at Qi De Yuan's constantly changing expression, Dabai, who was eating the fruit and the lamb leg, was a little surprised that his fellow creatures had such rich facial expressions. Could it be that he was angry because I didn't give him the lamb leg? Painfully, he tore off a leg of the roasted whole lamb that he had received as a reward for his work in the morning, and slowly handed it to Qi De Yuan, saying, Don't be angry, I will treat you to the lamb leg. Looking at the lamb leg beside his mouth, and then at Dabai who closed his eyes for fear of tears, Qi De Yuan said angrily, such a pure bloodline is simply wasted on you, and you also want lamb leg. It's really a disgrace to our Kylan clan. How is it? It's delicious, right? Dabai happily looked at Kita Yuandao, who was eating the food beside him with his mouth full of oil. Wiping the grease off his mouth without leaving any trace, Chi Yuan said calmly, I was once a celestial being, and I have tasted all kinds of delicacies. This time I am giving face to you, a junior. But to be honest, I really don't know how many years I haven't felt so relaxed. When I was in the wild world, any non-decent spiritual beast would roast its meat before eating it, and they would eat it raw. After I became an immortal, I enjoyed many delicacies from heaven and sea, and also spent a lot of time in the immortal city of humans, but that was many years ago. I have been cultivating until now, following my current little master, and every day I either eat elixirs or spiritual fruits. Although my cultivation speed has increased, the happiness is gone. Taking a vicious bite of the lamb leg, Chi Yuan asked nonchalantly, how did you feel when your master used the bloodline transformation on you? Dabai did know about the myriad changes in blood, after all, he had just experienced it not long ago, but Dabai was not good at speaking and didn't know how to express it. I can't say I can. Come with me. My good friend was just used a few days ago. I'll take you to see. Dabai said with his eyes shining. Since it's ready, Chi Yuan naturally wouldn't refuse. Two little unicorns, with their short legs, moved very quickly and came to a small defensive formation beside the spiritual lake. Looking at the little monkey inside, Chi Yuan's eyes emitted a golden light. A golden light emitting infinite heat was slowly merging into the little monkey's body. He murmured, humans are really scary. If the people of the three tribes knew about this bloodline transformation, they would probably go crazy trying to grab it. Spiritual beasts cannot learn this secret method. Chen Zhuge appeared behind the two of them and said with a smile. Looking at Chi Yuan, who remained silent, Chen Zhuge threw out a jade scroll and said, this is the secret method of bloodline transformation. This thing is very common in the Wanshao sect. Unless you are a Wanshao sect disciple who practices the Beast Sutra, no one else can practice it. Although he believed it about 70% in his heart, Chi Yuan still put it away with a glimmer of hope. What if, such a silly little guy has purer blood than mine? I don't believe that my luck is so bad. Brothers, if you have time, you can go and have a look. Chapter 61. The Power of Celebrity. By the time Chen Zhuge finished refining the second Taoist weapon of the day, it was already dark. Looking at the extra jade slip with records beside him, Chen Zhuge made a quick investigation and found out that it was the words left by the Zhu brothers and sisters. Mainly said that he had a lot of fun today and would come again next time when he was free. In order to thank Chen Zhuge for the hospitality, Zhu Yingke also left a message in the jade slip that he would promote Chen Zhuge's Garden of Eden. So, now I got the advertisement of the eldest daughter of the Zhu family for free. Chen Zhuge didn't expect to have an unexpected surprise. The Zhu family, with the golden immortal in charge, has been passed down for countless generations. Among them, there are hundreds of millions of mortals and cultivators alone. As the eldest daughter of the Zhu family, Zhu Yingke's words will naturally attract a large number of Zhu family disciples to follow her. Looking at the dozens of Zhu family disciples in front of him, Chen Zhuge was a little confused and asked, you all want to buy the flame demon? That's right, it's the kind you sold to the young master. The leading young man said arrogantly. Chen Zhuge was a little skeptical and said, looking at your tokens, you should still be outer disciples. That's right, we have all just broken through to the golden core stage. We came here just because we heard from the eldest lady that the spirit beasts here have great potential. It was still the same young man, still with that arrogant look. Chen Zhuge couldn't refuse the above business, so he just reminded, the flame demon your young master bought is a mutant. I may not have a second one here. The upper limit of the bloodline of ordinary flame demons is usually level 6. Of course, there are some with purer bloodlines that reach level 7, but their combat power may be slightly lower. It's okay. We can't be stronger than the young master's spirit beast. The young boys and girls looked at each other and said, let's first agree on 6,000 supreme spirits for a 6th level flame demon, and 50,000 supreme spirits for a 7th level flame demon. The price Chen Zhuge offered was not high, it was on the low side. So expensive. If you don't have spirit stones, you can buy those that have just been born and have only 1 or 2 levels of cultivation. The price can only be reduced by 1/3. Chen Zhuge suggested. Looking at the people who were whispering and undecided, Chen Zhuge brought them to the ecosystem, gave them a few maps of the ecosystem and said, "You can go and see for yourself, but you must be within the sight of the Taoist soldiers." Chen Zhuge asked 3 Taoist soldiers to lead the way for them. He went back to continue refining Taoist soldiers and extracting blood from the newly born spirit beasts. Chen Zhuge didn't know what the group of boys and girls had experienced in there. Seeing them each holding a first or second level spirit beast cub, he just confirmed, "Have you chosen? You can't return the spirit stones after you buy them. We are the Zhu family, how can we return the spirit stones? First level cultivation, 5th level mutant thunder deer, 3,500 upper spirits." Chen Zhuge said to the girl in front of him. Second level cultivation, 6th level fire dragon, 10,000 upper spirits. After sending these kids away, Chen Zhuge looked at the countless upper spirits in his storage ring and couldn't help but sigh, how can an ordinary disciple of the Zhu family be so rich? Is this the financial strength of a big family? If a young man is not frivolous, he is not a qualified young man. Similarly, if a man has good things but does not show off, he is not a qualified young man. Chen Zhuge became famous, or to be more precise, Chen Zhuge's Garden of Eden became famous. It was a place where one could purchase high-level spirit beasts using only spirit stones, and the price/performance ratio was much higher than that of the Sex Spirit Beast Hall. Especially for those mortal disciples who cultivate immortals, who have no background and no resources, in order to obtain enough resources, they basically exchange the merits gained from the tasks with those of the children of big families for spirit stones. However, insufficient merits will lead to the inability to obtain satisfactory spirit beasts. Without potentially powerful spirit beasts, the gap in foundation between them and those of the children of big families will be further widened. One step slow leads to another. The emergence of the Garden of Eden has given these disciples new choices. I want to exchange for 3,000 merits, which is equivalent to 9,000 spirit stones. This is the remaining 1,000 upper spirit stones. Seeing the disciple Chen Zhuge happily running away with the fire dragon in his arms, he just shook his head and said to Yu Meng, whose face was black and grey after the furnace exploded while refining the elixir, "Don't refine the elixir anymore. Come and take care of the customers today." Yu Meng was a little frustrated, sitting silently at the small table for checkout. After a month of continuous furnace explosions, Yu Meng began to doubt whether she was Yuetu. Wasn't it said that Yuetu was a natural alchemist? Could it be that she was a fake? Chen Zhuge looked at Yu Meng, who began to doubt him, and did not say anything. Yu Meng's bloodline was not very pure, it could be said to be very mottled. If her moon rabbit bloodline was as pure as Dabai's fire Kiran bloodline, he would have been accepted as a disciple by a heavenly immortal or even a golden immortal. The moon rabbit was an ancient mythical beast, not to mention its combat power, its outrageous alchemy ability alone was a major asset of the sect. With a large amount of spirit stones in his pocket, Chen Zhuge also took this opportunity to expand his inventory of spirit beasts. In addition, more and more cultivation resources were allocated to each spirit beast, and his own cultivation resources also became more and more abundant. What made Chen Zhuge happiest was the merits he had received. 105,000 merits were enough for him to enter the small world dedicated to the training of spirit beasts 10 times. It is said that the small world is full of spiritual beasts, but the intelligence of those spiritual beasts is too low, and even the wisdom fruit cannot improve their intelligence, so they are classified as ferocious beasts. The beast is extremely warlike and brutal, but the sect can control it and save its life before it dies and teleport it out, but once it comes out it cannot go back in. As for the first group of people to enter this secret realm of ferocious beasts, Chen Zhuge has already thought about it. Battle Song of the Ape Fire Dragon Aoyi, original name, Rage, Red Dragon Aoli, original name Luo, Violent Rabbit Ueli, formerly known as Giant Spirit. Phantom Beast Sheep Phantom, formerly known as Dark Light. I've changed the names that I thought were funny to make them more normal. I'll think of some names for my spirit beasts next. Let's just have these 5 for now. It goes without saying that Zhang Ji is a spirit beast that is mainly used for combat. The 4 contracted spirit beasts were originally contracted to be thugs. Yu Meng is positioned as an alchemist and spirit plant master. Dabai's intelligence is still a little young, so we'll need to observe him for a while. We won't talk about the eternal vine because it hasn't been born yet. Chen Zhuge carefully divided the spirit beasts under his command. Under the setting sun, Zhu Yingke and Zhu Yinghuang came hand in hand. "Brother Chen, I have something good to discuss with you," Zhu Yinghuang said with a smile on his face. "What's the matter?"
Chen Zhuge said in disbelief as he looked at Zhu Yinghuang, whose face was full of unreliability. Senior brother Chen, the elders of our sect conquered a small world not long ago, and now we need disciples to explore it. I have already found out that the strongest person in that small world is only at the level of return to void. I heard that the cultivation in that world is mainly based on the physical body. Zhu Yingke explained. Really? Chen Zhuge, who was worried about his slow progress in cultivation, asked in surprise. Of course, we just knew about it one step ahead. It won't be long before senior brother Chen will receive the news. Zhu Yingke nodded. We are also planning to go and take a look. Brother Chen, please come with us this time. By the way, spiritual beasts cannot be brought into that small world. Brother Chen had better buy more elixirs and powerful magic weapons. Zhu Yinghuang reminded. Okay, thank you both for letting me know. Thank you. Chen Zhuge thanked them. Since the two of them had plans within their family, they just chatted briefly and went back. Chapter 62. Small World. The small world is actually the 3,000 big worlds often mentioned in the novels of the previous life, a general term for countless small worlds. As the center of all realms, countless geniuses from all over the world ascend to the heaven every day. However, those so-called geniuses are usually lost in the crowd in the heaven. Of course, there are still some who stand out among them, but they are too few. Chen Zhuge, bringing 5 spirit beasts, came to the sect entrance of the small world of ferocious beasts and instantly became the most handsome guy. Seeing other disciples looking at him as a rich man, Chen Zhuge felt very embarrassed. If he had known earlier, he would have put the spirit beast into the spirit beast bag. Putting it away now would be a bit like trying to cover up the truth. He stepped forward and said to the elder who was looking at him with a smile, Elder, I want to put these 5 spirit beasts into the small world of fierce beasts for training. 1 spirit beast is worth 10,000 merits. Once the activation guarantee sign comes out, the training will be over. Are you sure you can put all 5 spirit beasts in? The elder introduced. Thank you, elder. I'm sure. Chen Zhuge didn't care about merits. Now that the Garden of Eden was on the right track, merits and spirit stones were no longer very important to him. So you are Elder Wen's new disciple. I heard that the spiritual beasts in your Garden of Eden have great potential. I would like to see them if I have a chance. The elder took the token and said with a smile. Zhuge is at your service at any time. Although he didn't know the strength of this elder, the elder was at least a true immortal, so Chen Zhuge was naturally willing to establish a good relationship with him. After completing the registration and successfully receiving 5 tokens, Chen Zhuge activated them and placed them into the bodies of 5 spirit beasts. He said earnestly, you must be careful in there. Save your life first, then look for opportunities to improve your strength. Don't just rush, use your brain. Looking at the 15 spirit beasts nodding in unison, Chen Zhuge always felt that something was wrong, but he couldn't put his finger on it. Watching the 5 spirit beasts step into the small world of ferocious beasts, Chen Zhuge felt even more uneasy, hoping that their merits would not be wasted. The 5 spirit beasts including Zhang Ji who had just entered the small world couldn't help but howl to the sky when they saw the vast scene that looked like an ancient forest. The huge roar attracted a predator, which was a giant python that was dozens of meters long and had a strength of about the late nascent soul stage. Yueli stopped Zhang Ji who was about to attack and said, Brother, let me do it. The violent rabbit clenched his fists and said arrogantly, Little thing, watch me beat you to a pulp. Boom. Bang. Bah. Oh. Looking at the violent rabbit that was thrown onto a big tree by the giant python's tail and slowly slid down, the 4 beasts covered their eyes in unison with pity. It was really too miserable. As a rabbit who has practiced the giant spirit dharma, Yu Li just wiped the little blood from his nose and shouted, Don't interfere, this is my prey. This war lasted for 2 hours. Looking at the giant python that was exhausted and lying on the ground, and then looking at Yu Li who was still alive and kicking with blood all over his face and nose, the 4 beasts couldn't help but sigh that the muscular rabbit was worthy of being called the muscle rabbit. It was really durable. Chen Zhuge didn't know what happened in the small world of ferocious beasts. After dealing with the 5 spirit beasts, Chen Zhuge was looking for precautions for the sect disciples to explore the small world. According to the information sent back by the Zhu brothers and sisters, the small world that will open in a month is a world similar to the mortal dynasty, but this world has a practice method called martial arts, and the strongest among them can be comparable to returning to the void. Although comparable to return to the void, in reality,
no matter the means or lethality are far inferior, but the vitality is extremely strong, comparable to the body cultivator of Return to the Void. It can be said that this world is very suitable for Chen Zhuge. After roughly checking the intelligence, Chen Zhuge also roughly understood the situation of this martial arts world. Generally speaking, natural disasters continued, refugees rebelled, and then when this world was in chaos, an elder of the 10,000 Beasts Gate tore the world membrane, and then the disciples of the 10,000 Beasts Gate entered. Under the dimensionality reduction attack, this small world was quickly conquered, but the 10,000 Beasts Gate would not put a large number of cultivators in it for a long time. After all, the most interesting thing in the whole world is the martial arts practice method, and the resources are average. Now the first batch of disciples who pioneered the Wanshao Gate are about to return. Chen Zhuge and others are the second batch to enter. Their main task is to consolidate the rule of the Wanshao Gate, eradicate the grassroots forces that try to resist the rule of the Wanshao Gate, and completely turn it into a resource base for the Wanshao Gate. The second benefit of this task is that the more merits you have made in its small world, the more you can own a territory that is completely your own. Everything in this territory belongs to you, and you only need to pay enough taxes on time. The small world that the Chen family now owns is actually the result of the clan elders' desperate efforts to establish meritorious services and occupy the largest piece of territory. Even this opportunity was obtained by a disciple with the highest status in the Wanshao sect who spent a lot of meritorious services. Someone like Chen Zhuge is so lucky that he can directly worship a celestial elder, make friends with the young master and eldest daughter of the Zhu family, and get such a precious spot without any effort. Regarding the preparation of the small world, Chen Zhuge planned to ask for help from his family. After all, he couldn't earn much merit by himself in a small world whose upper limit was returning to the void. After informing his parents of the news that he was going to the small world, Chen Zhuge planned to contact his family through his parents to see how much help the family was willing to provide. Chen Zhuge, who had just passed on the news and put it behind his mind and was preparing to leave with a magic weapon, had no idea how much of a shock his news had brought to the Chen family. Chen Familith, current patriarch of the Chen family, Chen Hohai, has already passed 3 tribulations, but because he was injured in his early years and his foundation is unstable, after luckily surviving the tribulation of his inner demons, he has been hesitant to attract the tribulation of thunder that would lead to his immortality. Chen Hohai looked at the family elders below and said, "Today there are 2 very important matters that require the decision of the elders. Chen, Huayu, come out." Chen Hohai called the 2 out from the back of the lobby and said, "Tell me about the situation." As a pure body refiner, Chen was not good at speaking. Huayu rolled her eyes and stepped forward and said, "The first thing is that my son Chen Zhuge will become a disciple of a celestial immortal. The apprenticeship ceremony will be held in about 10 years. At that time, the clan will need to send some people to attend." This shocking news shocked the elders who were so solemn and self-assured. The chief elder, Chen Wen, stood up and asked in shock, "Is it true?" "Of course, am I kidding you?" Huayu said speechlessly. Ignoring the elders who were talking, he continued, "My son Zhuge will go to a small world to carry out a mission in a month. I won't talk about the importance of this mission. Everyone knows how the Chen family's small world came about. You decide what to do specifically." After saying this, Huayu pulled Chen out of the conference hall. The meeting fell into silence. Chen Hohai stood up and said, "This is what happened. It is a great thing that someone in my clan has become a disciple of the heavenly immortal. The ancestor has sent me a message and will personally take action when the time comes. In this small world, our Chen family must do our best to help Chen Zhuge complete the mission and gain enough merits. I will mobilize the Chen family's 1,000 red armored soldiers and 300 black armored soldiers. Do you have any opinions?" Chen Hohai said loudly. "Master, isn't this too much?" The third elder Chen Wen said with some concern. "The Chen family is not a very powerful family. Most of its reputation is supported by the true immortal ancestor, and its resources are mainly produced from the small world territory that was opened up in the past. The Black Armor Army must at least be at the Spirit Transformation stage to enter, while the Red Armor Army must be at the Nascent Soul stage. 300 Black Armors and 1,000 Red Armors are already a lot for the Chen family." At this time, the Great Elder stood up and said, "Chen Wen, you are too steady. This time, in addition to these 2 armies, I request to send 30 more comprehensive family return to void cultivators." Without waiting for the other elders to object, the Great Elder continued, "Whether my Chen family can move up to the next level depends on whether we can catch it. Everyone must not hold us back. Chapter 63, The Small World of Martial Arts. Chen Zhuge didn't know about the Chen family's final decision. Instead, his master, upon learning that Chen Zhuge was going to enter the small world, bestowed upon him 10 Taoist soldiers who had reached the level of returning to the void. This was so that Chen Zhuge could gain experience, that's why he only gave him this little. Otherwise, it would be very easy for the immortal boss to give a few hundred return to void Dao soldiers, but that would be meaningless. After a month of frantically refining purple blood Taoist soldiers, he finally managed to collect 100 of them. In his hands he also had the heavy water pagoda, a 5th level top level magic weapon for both offense and defense, the wind god wings, a 5th level top level magic weapon for life saving, and a large number of high level healing and recovery pills. This time, Chen Zhuge had upgraded his muskets to cannons and armed himself to the teeth. The day before leaving for the small world, the Chen family's support finally arrived. With the notification from the mountain guarding disciples, Chen Zhuge met the help from his family. "Dad?" Chen Zhuge asked in surprise as he looked at Chen Chen, who was fully armed and standing at the front of the team. "Son, the family is making a huge loss this time. There are a total of 1,000 red armored soldiers with nascent soul cultivation, 300 black armored soldiers with spirit transformation cultivation, plus 30 members of the Fangsu tribe. They will definitely help you conquer the small world," Chen Chen introduced carelessly. Chen Zhuge looked at the army with some toothache. He wanted the support of his family, but there was no need for so much. If he did so, he would be able to sweep them all away once he entered. "Son, this configuration is very normal. When the small world faces a crisis, it will consume a large amount of its origin to create a large number of powerful people. Although there are many people in the family, compared with the entire small world, they are actually just a slightly larger force." Hua Yu walked out from behind and explained. Chen Zhuge also knew about this phenomenon, but he had not experienced it and was not sure whether it was really that exaggerated. However, since his mother said so, there was nothing to refute. Besides, the more people there were, the stronger they were, and it would be easier to complete his task and safer for himself. There was nothing wrong with that. After agreeing on a time, Chen Zhuge placed his parents and clansmen in the nearest Baiko Garden Fairy City. The mission will officially start tomorrow. He only needs to go to the sect to get the teleportation token, which is very convenient. That night, the Zhu brothers and sisters came to Chen Zhuge's Garden of Eden again. Zhu Yinghuang said as carefree as before, "Brother Chen, how are your preparations? This time, the clan has supported me and my younger sister with 100 return to void Dao soldiers, 3,000 transformation Dao soldiers, and quite a few return to void clan members." Chen Zhuge looked at Zhu Yinghuang with a question mark on his face and said, "Brother Zhu, with so many Dao soldiers, going to a small world with a limit of only returning to the void? Are you planning to break through it?" Zhu Yinghuang looked at her younger sister and said, "Little sister, you explain it. I didn't remember it before." Zhu Yingke looked at his brother speechlessly and said, "Brother Chen, usually the upper limit of a small world is Mahayana. Immortals cannot enter it, even those who have begun to transcend tribulation are not allowed. And the upper limit of this small world is obviously one level lower, which means that the heavenly Dao of this small world is very stingy, so its source power will also be extremely abundant. At the moment of life and death, the heavenly Dao of this small world will release a large amount of source power to create strong people. Although it will not break the upper limit of cultivation, it is still very easy to produce a large number of return to the void. If conditions permit, you should bring more help. If not, you can join us. So that's how it is. There's no need for me to go with you. Our clan has already sent people here. I also want to earn merits and exchange them for territory," Chen Zhuge said. "Well, the upper limit of the ability of people in this small world to refine into Taoist soldiers is very high, especially the body refining Taoist soldiers, which do have a certain value," Zhu Yingke affirmed. "By the way, the main reason why my brother and I came here this time is to tell Brother Chen that if he has the ability, it is best to occupy the city first. The passage of time in the small world is different. 100 years in the small world is 1 year in the heavenly realm. An immortal Deluo Jingxian has already reversed the cause and effect. The passage of our lifespan will only follow the time in the heavenly realm," Zhu Yingke reminded. "Thank you, junior sister," Chen Zhuge said gratefully. "This news is very important, and I'm afraid that ordinary families don't know it yet. After all,
Chen Zhuge had taken the time to learn about it when he was desperately refining Taoist soldiers before, and had never heard of this information. Looking at the backs of the Zhu brothers and sisters as they walked away, Chen Zhuge couldn't help but sigh, what kind people they are. But there is plenty of time. If I want to cultivate the natives of the small world, I think I need to prepare some things. Chen Zhuge said thoughtfully. He purchased a large number of low-level body refining elixirs overnight, filling dozens of storage bags. Only then did he stop with satisfaction. Martial Arts World. The original owner of the palace has become a disciple of the Wanshao sect stationed here. Holding the former princess in his arms, the young man with the highest status here caressed the woman beside him with some nostalgia, and said to his fellow disciples who were indulgent below, I didn't expect the garrison time to be up so soon, I'm really a little reluctant to leave. The disciples below started to make a noise, Brother Bailey, your ancestor is a powerful golden immortal. If he wants to stay, isn't it just a matter of asking? Bailey Wen glanced at the disciple, a wild smile appeared on his face and he said, yes, my ancestor is a golden immortal. Before his disciple could be happy, Bailey Wen filled the wine glass in his hand with magic power, smashed it on his head and said, fool, who do you think I am? I am Bailey Wen. How can a small world stop me from becoming an immortal? Looking at the dying disciple in the hall, the other disciples immediately quieted down. Bailey Wen looked around with his hawk-like eyes, stood up and lifted up the former princess who was already weak-legged beside him, saying, during this period, everyone has earned what they should have earned, and a lot of resources have been plundered. I, Bailey Wen, have not treated you unfairly. The counterattack of the small world will begin next, and I don't want my people to die here. We must follow young Master Bailey's instructions. The disciples knelt down obediently. Well, you better behave yourself during this period of time. The sex replacement disciples are coming. This time, the immortal Deluo Jingxian will take action to reverse the cause and effect. If anything unexpected happens, you will have no choice but to die. Do you understand? Bailey Wen said to his fellow disciple who was kneeling on the ground. No. The ridiculous banquet ended, and the disciples who left were all worried. According to the sex rules for opening up a small world, Bailey Wen, the first person in charge, had already committed all the mistakes. Of course, as the young master of the Bailey family of the Golden Immortal family, nothing will happen to Bailey Wen. The ones who will get into trouble are small people like us. How can we not be worried? In the heaven, Chen Zhuge went to the main hall early in the morning to receive the mission token. The deacon who issued the token said to Chen Zhuge, this is your first time accepting a mission in a small world. Here I want to tell you some rules that cannot be violated. Don't go on a killing spree in the small world. We are all human beings in essence. If we kill too many people, we will be entangled with karma, which is not conducive to overcoming the tribulation. Don't kill the original royal family of that world at will, as it is easy to be retaliated by the way of heaven. Finally, don't practice the cultivation system of the small world excessively. It is best to integrate the original method of heaven and improve it. Chapter 64. Entering the martial arts world. Carrying the mission token, Chen Zhuge came to the cave rental office in Baikouwen Ferry City fully armed. More than 1,000 people could not stay in the inn. Zhuge, are you ready? Are you ready to set off? Hua Yu asked Chen Zhuge who was visiting. No, the mission says that we should arrive today. There's no need to be so anxious. Let me first tell you the information I have learned. Chen Zhuge revealed all the intelligence he had collected in the sect and the news revealed by the Zhu brothers and sisters. The Chen family's small world was occupied a long time ago, and the family cultivators present didn't know much about it. Chen Zhuge was a little disappointed. By the way, Zhuge, the reward for your last sect assessment has been delayed. Hua Yu said as he took out a storage bag. In fact, Chen Zhuge now doesn't think much of such a small thing, but no matter how small a mosquito is, it is still meat, not to mention that he has taken action. An hour later, Chen Zhuge planned to activate the token. After the token was activated, a bright beam of light rose up from its place, and everyone in the beam disappeared into the cave in the blink of an eye, leaving behind only a slowly dissipating beam of light. Is this the small world? Chen Zhuge casually sent out a wind blade and looked at the gully on the ground that was dozens of meters long. He began to feel the changes in himself. The recovery speed of spiritual energy is only about 1/10 of that in the heavenly realm, or even slower, but the power has increased several times, probably because the laws of the small world are not strong enough. Which peak are you from?
Don't just stand there and don't cast spells casually. A black-faced deacon said dissatisfiedly. I'm sorry, senior brother. Chen Zhuge handed over the task token in his hand. The black-faced butler connected his token with Chen Zhuge's token and said, I have imported the detailed information of this world and your mission. The next step is to choose a position. If you want to gain a foothold in this world, it is best to have a formal identity. Take a look at which one you want. The black-faced butler took out a paper list and said. The system of this world is a bit like the feudal system of the Zhou dynasty in the previous life, but some details are slightly different. Taiyuan City Governor, responsible for guarding Taiyuan City. Blackstone City Governor, responsible for guarding Blackstone City. Rebellion General, responsible for suppressing the rebels. Apart from these three positions, the others were all construction-related civilian positions. Chen Zhuge was a little dissatisfied and said, Brother, are there only these three positions? Aren't the others the same? By the way, the mission you accepted is to pacify the resistance forces in this world, so there are really only these three people. And you came relatively early. Most of the positions have already been reserved by those big families. The black-faced butler spread his hands to indicate that there was nothing he could do. He let out a long sigh, he knew too little. With his master's celestial immortal cultivation level, it should be very easy for him to reserve a position. He just didn't expect there would be such a shady operation. Junior brother, since you are a disciple of the immortal, I would like to remind you that if you want to obtain higher merits, it is best to choose the position of prefect. I can't tell you the specific situation. The black-faced deacon hesitated and said softly. Thank you, senior brother. Chen Zhuge did not hesitate after hearing this. He secretly handed over a small bag of spirit stones and chose the position of prefect of Taiyuan City. This bag contained a lot of spirit stones. The black-faced deacon was obviously very satisfied and reminded him again, Junior brother, Taiyuan City and Blackstone City have both experienced a massacre. Although they are not empty cities, 9 out of 10 houses are empty. I hope you can manage them well. This can also be considered a meritorious service. Thank you, senior brother. Carrying a map presented by the black-faced deacon and the official seal of the Taiyuan prefect, Chen Zhuge led a group of people to Taiyuan City. The top floor of a restaurant in the city closest to the city gate. The two figures looked deeply at the retreat of Chen Zhuge's army. Yu Shaihai said in despair, how strong are these extraterritorial demons? There are so many martial saints, junior martial saints, and a martial marquis army of nearly 1,000 people. Don't we already know the result? Is Yu Taibao going to give up? Li Kaihuyu said expressionlessly. Yu Shaihai knelt on one knee and said, my life was given to me by the late emperor. It doesn't matter if I die. However, the strength of these extraterritorial demons is too terrifying. I'm afraid it will be difficult for us to restore our country. Li Kaihuyu clenched her fists tightly, said nothing, and just looked into the distance. She was very confused. Father, what should I do? There are quite a few forces in the city that are resisting the rule of the 10,000 Beasts sect. After learning that these extraterritorial demons will be replaced by a new batch today, a large number of forces sent people to the city to wait and see early in the morning. Alliance leader, can we really defeat these extraterritorial demons? A young man asked tremblingly on another building. Looking at Fang Tianzi who had lost his spirit, Su Hai was a little disappointed, but he still explained, this world is ours. No matter how powerful these extraterritorial demons are, they are still outsiders. Even the world is helping us. We will not lose. Apart from these two largest rebel forces, many other small rebel groups also saw this. They did not have the determination of Su Hai and Li Kaihuyu. Most of them had the idea of retreating, but they were reluctant to give up their current wealth and glory and were very hesitant. Chen Zhuge didn't care what these people thought. Taiyuan City was at the very border of this dynasty. Further out was an undeveloped wilderness. Fortunately, it was not far from where he was. It would only take about 3 days to get there. On the way, Chen Zhuge also heard a lot about the changes in this world. One piece of news in particular caught Chen Zhuge's attention. Did you find out this information? Chen Zhuge said with a frown. Yes, nowadays almost all the older people know about this. The Red Armor Army Sergeant said with his head down. The male descendants of the royal Li family were actually exterminated. Isn't it said that killing the royal family will be retaliated by heaven? Which disciple did this and was so brave? Chen Zhuge was puzzled. As long as a cultivator wants to become an immortal, even if he disrespects the way of heaven, he will not offend the way of heaven. The person who gave this order will probably be entangled by karma and be struck to death by lightning when he returns. Gate of Beasts. Wanshi Peak. As soon as Bailey Wen returned, he was summoned by his father. As the legitimate son of a golden immortal, Bailey Wen was naturally loved infinitely. Even though Bailey Wen's talent was very poor due to some accidents, he was still the young master of the Bailey family. What did you do? Bailey Tianren said angrily as he looked at Bailey Wen, whose whole body was covered in blood due to karma. The child didn't do anything. Bailey Wen said in panic, looking like a good boy. You are bound by karma. Did you massacre the city or destroy the royal family of that small world? Or did you do both? With such strong karma, only these two things can achieve this. The emperor of that small world was disobedient, and those troops were always against me. I was so angry that I killed them all. Bailey Wen said with his neck stiff. I didn't expect that after all my lifelong fame, I would give birth to a thing like you when I'm old. Come with me. Bailey Tianren said angrily. Chapter 65. Taiyuan City. As the largest city on the border, Taiyuan City originally had a population of nearly 5 million, with nearly 300,000 troops stationed there and more than 100,000 backup troops. It was one of the important military bases of the Wu dynasty in the entire martial arts world. However, according to the invasion of the Wanshao sect 30 years ago, the leader of the garrison in Taiyuan City refused to surrender and was defeated by the Wanshao sect disciples. He then carried out a massacre in the city, killing all 300,000 regular troops and causing more than 4 million casualties in Taiyuan City. Which disciple did this? Isn't he a fool? Hua Yu cursed when she saw the message. Don't be angry, madam. Chen Chen comforted her. Actually, this is not without benefits. Chen Kui, the leader of the Chen family cultivators, pondered. Is there any benefit from this? It's almost broken. Hua Yu said speechlessly. Chen Kui hesitated for a moment and then said, these 300,000 garrison troops were basically sent by the Wu dynasty, not local troops in Taiyuan City. 4 million civilians sounds scary, but there are still nearly 3 million people in Taiyuan City now. Except for those who have recently given birth, the vast majority of them are from the scattered villages outside Taiyuan City. At most, only about a quarter of the people in the city hate us. As long as we are fair enough, after a few decades, when the old people who survive die, the rest of the people will support us. It's easy to say, but we only have more than 1,000 people, and we can only rely on 30 of you to manage. And Zhuge's mission is to quell the rebels, not a constructive task like restoring people's livelihood. Hua Yu said angrily. There's no rush to quell a rebellion. When our Chen family participated in that small world war, didn't it take thousands of years to barely suppress the voices of rebellion? Chen Kui shook his head. Although this was Chen Zhuge's first time participating in a war in a small world, he also knew that this kind of hatred would evolve into a spirit over time, and it could not be completely suppressed violently in a short period of time, so he could not be impatient. Amidst everyone's discussion, they arrived at Taiyuan City. The surface of the city wall is full of potholes, and the flat areas are engraved with traces of various swords, spears, and halberds. The originally black city wall appears a creepy dark red under the sunlight. One can imagine how much blood flowed on the city wall at that time. When Chen Zhuge and others saw the city wall, the defenders on the wall also saw this black and red army. Sir, what should we do? The soldier who reported the incident asked his lord tremblingly. What can I do? What can I do? Open the gate and surrender. At the very least, the army is composed of Wu Ho. What's the use of fighting? I am just a Wu Ho myself. Wan Shan cursed angrily. When Chen Zhuge and his companions arrived at the city gate, they saw a general in black armor approaching with a flattering look on his face. My lord, why are you here in Taiyuan? Chen Zhuge watched the city gate open. Only a dozen soldiers stood behind the general with trembling legs. He smiled and said, General, you opened the city gate without knowing our purpose. Is this an empty city plan? I dare not, I dare not. Wan Shan, who was so scared that he knelt on the spot, shook his head quickly. Chen Zhuge stopped joking and took out the official seal of the prefect and said, I am the new prefect. Stand up and talk. After looking at the official seal again and again, Wan Shan breathed a sigh of relief. They are all family, so it's all good.
He asked Wanshan to send people to arrange the Red Armor Army and the Black Armor Army to the military camp first, while he took Chen Zhuge and others to the prefectural government. Tell me about the current situation in Taiyuan City. Chen Zhuge said as he looked at the people who were looking at him and others with fear on their faces. Wan Shan looked at Chen Zhuge carefully and said, Taiyuan City experienced a catastrophe 30 years ago. Most of the people today are descendants of the original survivors, as well as a large number of people gathered from scattered villages outside. Well, go on, tell me what forces are in the city. Wan Shan paused and said, there are no big forces in the city now. They are basically small gangs and small forces gathered by small merchants. The slightly higher-end ones are the Hu family in the south of the city and the Li family in the north of the city. One has a lot of land and supports a lot of people, and the other runs a salt and iron business and also has a lot of people, but the number is relatively small, but more elite. As they were talking, the group arrived at the yamen. Looking at the dusty yamen, Chen Zhuge asked, is there no one in this yamen? Wan Shan confessed his crime, sir. Since the catastrophe 30 years ago, Taiyuan City has been without a governor, and the government office has been empty. Who is in charge of the criminals in this city? Chen Zhuge was a little incredulous. It's a group of rangers made up of the Tiandao Society that's handling it. The Tiandao Society is a force that can deal with criminals. It's not a small force. You are not honest. Chen Zhuge looked at Wanshan Dao meaningfully. Wanshan groaned in his heart, brother, your brother, have really risked my life for you. Send someone to clean the entire yamen, and bring the leaders of the Hu family, the Li family, and the Tiandao Society to the yamen tonight. Chen Zhuge said to Wanshan. Wanshan had no words to describe his suffering. He was just a small guard in the city. How could he be moved by these three families? Chen Zhuge didn't care about Wanshan's thoughts. This man still had his own ideas. If he wanted to manage Taiyuan City, he would definitely employ people brought by his own family. He would only use local people like this in the future. Mother, third brother, how should we proceed next? After finding a quiet place to cast a spell and clean up, Chen Zhuge asked Huayu and Chen Kui. Huayu said speechlessly, son, I came along mainly because I was worried about you. Isn't it inappropriate for you to let a woman like me help you govern the city? Chen Zhuge smiled awkwardly. Isn't he useless? Cultivators are mainly engaged in cultivation, how can they manage cities? Chen Kui chuckled and said, 13th brother, the power in our hands is enough to forcefully subdue the entire Taiyuan city. Why bother with so much trouble? Just send people to investigate those small family forces with shady backgrounds and wipe them out. We just need to reenact the laws. Within 10 years, Taiyuan city will be largely united. Fist is the best way to govern. Then let's do as third brother says. Chen Zhuge also felt that breaking all laws with one's own force was the simplest and quickest way. He couldn't play tricks on them with so much power in his hands. By the way, 13th brother, don't show up tonight. Let me do it and inform them directly. There's no need to be too polite. The small world's counterattack is still gathering strength, and we must take advantage of the opportunity to control more cities. Chen Kui suggested. Chen Zhuge had no objection. That night Wan Shan looked at the representative from the Hu family with a worried look on his face, cursing in his heart, is the Hu family seeking death? The new governor is obviously one of those extraterritorial demons, not those heavenly soldiers. They actually sent such a playboy here. I hope he won't get me into trouble. Chapter 66. Domineering Means. Yamen Lobby. Chen Kui placed a table of delicious food under the plaque that read a clear mirror hanging high, waiting for you to join in. Li family third princess, what should we do? The new governor is most likely a demon from outside the realm, and I'm afraid he has bad intentions. The old man with a youthful face and white hair said anxiously. Yebanban, don't be anxious. There's no use in being anxious. Didn't you arrange people to check out the strength of those people? The third princess Li Kaiyuan said helplessly. The old man, whose original name was Yes Yaotian, said with regret, if I had known earlier, I would have gone with the second princess. Now it is really impossible to escape even if I have wings. Yebanban, don't mention my second sister. I'll go and see for myself in the evening and will know. Li Kaiyuan frowned. It's my fault. I will go with you tonight. Although Yes Yaotian was afraid, he was still very loyal. Tiandao League. Master, are we going? Go, why not go? Bai Meng,
leader of the Tiandao alliance, said righteously. These two families were relatively easy to talk to, and the leaders came out in person. When Wan Shan gathered the representatives of the three families together, he started cursing in his heart again, "Damn Hu family, they better not get me into trouble." Although the person sent by the Hu family was a playboy, he also knew that Bai Meng, the leader of the Tiandao League, was not someone he could mess with, so he said to the veiled Li Kaiyuan in a flowery way, "I didn't expect that the head of the Li family was actually a little girl." Yes, Yao Tian frowned, and shouted angrily, "Little devil, you are looking for death." The unsuspecting Hu Ziwei was shocked so much that his ears started bleeding. It's actually the martial saint, warriors correspond to Qi training, and so on, martial arts masters, great martial arts masters, martial marquises, minor martial saints, and martial saints. Hu Ziwei, knowing that he had hit a wall, didn't dare to say anything. Martial saint? There is no martial saint in the Hu family. While the three families were each thinking about their own things, they arrived at the government office. Walking through the gate, you will see a young man holding up a wine glass and motioning everyone to come in. Patriarch, he is the martial saint of heavenly soldiers. Yes, Yao Tian said solemnly. In public places outside, people from these small worlds call the disciples of the 10,000 Beasts sect heavenly soldiers. Well, please take a seat first. Li Kaiyuan nodded. After drinking together, Chen Kui introduced himself. On behalf of my family's governor, I would like to say a few things to you. Stop, stop, stop. Who do you think you are? You want your governor to come out and talk? My time is very precious. Hu Ziwei smashed the empty wine glass in his hand to the ground with disdain. The followers behind him were just two great martial artists, so naturally they couldn't tell Chen Kui's strength. Chen Kui glanced at Hu Ziwei and flicked his finger, making a hole in his head. The huge gap in strength made the two followers dare not even utter threatening words. Go back and tell the head of the Hu family to call out all the land deeds and those family members who have committed serious crimes, and you will be spared from death. Now you can get out of here. Chen Kui waved his hand, and the two followers flew out of the yamen by themselves. I won't waste your time. Li family, you can continue to operate the salt and iron business, but 80% of the profits must be handed over to the government. You can choose to dismiss the soldiers you have or let them join the army. The Tiandao League sees that you are also righteous people, so you just need to disband. Someone in the city will be responsible for the criminals in the future. You too, this is a notification, not a discussion. You have one stick of incense to wait for. Seeing Chen Kui turn around and leave after he finished speaking, Bai Meng and Li Kaiyuan looked at each other, their hearts sank. These extraterritorial demons were really arrogant, but they did have the strength to be so arrogant. Sitting at the banquet in silence, Bai Meng couldn't help but asked, Master Li, what are you going to do? What can we do? The prefect is very powerful. If we don't do as he says, I'm afraid we won't see the sun tomorrow. Li Kaiyuan looked thoughtfully at the several voices that disappeared outside the hall. What can I do? Bai Meng was also helpless. He thought he could still negotiate. Inner Hall Chen Zhuge watched the changes in the hall throughout the process and said to Chen Kui, Third brother, will suppressing it directly cause unnecessary trouble in the future? No, the Hu family has occupied the land in the city. They are not good people. Just destroy them. The Tiandao League is probably composed of some righteous people. They can issue an appeasement order and maintain order in the city. As for the Li family, they may be the royal family. Chen Kui deduced. The royal family? Didn't they get wiped out? Chen Zhuge was a little unconvinced. Only the male descendants were exterminated. There are still some princesses, but I don't know whether they are princesses or real princesses. Chen Kui thought. Okay, third brother, you arrange it. Chen Zhuge shook his head. He was not good at these things either. It's been an incense stick for the two of you. How do you think it goes? Have you made a decision? Chen Kui said with a smile. Li Kaiyuan stood up and said, I can agree to your request. Well, he who knows the times is a hero. Patriarch Li is indeed courageous. What about alliance leader Bai? Chen Kui said to Bai Meng, who had a conflicted look on his face. Bai Meng sighed and said, I agree too. Very good, we will not treat you unfairly. Apart from the salt and iron business, the Li family will also have a lot of business to do with you in the future. If your people join the army, we can arrange someone to lead them. As for the Tiandao League, if your people are willing, they can directly become constables to maintain order in the city. Alliance leader Bai can become the chief constable if he is willing. Chen Kui also gave them a small sweet treat. Thank you very much. The two said with bitter gratitude. After leaving the yamen, Bai Meng wanted to talk to Li Kaiyuan, but he didn't expect that he would just leave. After returning to the base, Bai Meng gathered the elite backbones of the alliance. Just as he was thinking about how to explain, he suddenly heard a loud noise. When he went out to take a look, he found that it was the territory of the Hu family. My Hu family refuses to accept this. The huge voice echoed over Taiyuan city for a long time. The Hu family is destroyed. Bai Meng said in disbelief. This is one of the strongest forces in Taiyuan city. Although it does not have a martial saint, it has the largest number of little martial saints. I heard that there is also a large formation that can compete with the martial saint. But it has only been a short time and it is gone. Under the threat of life and death, most of the people in the Tiandao League agreed to the conditions offered by the prefectural government and officially changed their jobs to become constables in the city. Li Haoxi is the third princess of the Wu dynasty. Those who are still willing to follow Li Kaiyuan are basically die-hard fans. Even if they refute Li Kaiyuan's decision, they will obey her orders. Li Kaiyuan did not say much about this matter. After telling him, he went to the study alone and silently thought about the words that the person from the prefect's mansion had just conveyed to his mind. The Li family, I think it's the Li from Wu dynasty. I don't know if you are a county lord or a princess. Please come to the governor's mansion in person when you have time. There are some things I need to discuss with you. What do they mean? Didn't those people kill my father and my brother? Even my eldest sister was humiliated. What do they mean now? Can't they just let us go? Li Kaiyuan said sadly with tears in her eyes. Chapter 67, The Self-Growth of Spiritual Beasts. After dealing with the chicken of the Hu family, Chen Kui began to reorganize the city of Taiyuan. All the forces that disobeyed orders and attempted to resist were basically uprooted. This also made the old people in Taiyuan city recall the horror of these extraterritorial demons 30 years ago. Chen Zhuge had no intention of intervening in these matters. Instead, he became extremely interested in the exotic beasts in this world and continuously sent Taoist soldiers to the wild land outside Taiyuan city to capture exotic beasts. Inside the alchemy room in the Garden of Eden, Yu Meng stared at the weak spiritual fire in front of her with her big eyes, and kept muttering nervously, "Success, success, success, success." Finally, a fragrance emanated from the alchemy furnace. Yu Meng was shocked and immediately stepped forward to open the lid of the furnace. Looking at the several milky white second-level Pe1 pills lying inside, Yu Meng said proudly, "It only takes me a month to refine the pills. Just wait, I will definitely become a master of alchemy." Hei Ian, who happened to be making out with a female dog in the yard, heard Yu Meng's lofty ambitions. The mature dog showed a hint of surprise on his face and murmured, "Even Sister Yu has come to her senses? This world is really crazy. Honey, what's wrong?" asked the golden dog who was licking Black Eye's fur puzzledly. "Nothing, let's go somewhere else to play." Hei Ian changed the subject. As the chief steward of the Garden of Eden, Hei Ian has always been the most reliable of all the spirit beasts. Although he sometimes gets angry, it will never interfere with his work. This is why Chen Zhuge seldom talks about him. At Linghu Lake, Dabai and Qi Dayuan were fishing with fishing rods. After discovering this little brother whose blood is purer than his own, Qi Dayuan has been living in the Garden of Eden and hanging out with Dabai every day since Zhu Yingke entered the small world. "Brother, let's see who catches more fish today." Qi Dayuan raised his eyebrows. Dabai was not interested in this. During the fisherman's novice protection period, Dabai won every day and now he is tired of this boring competition. Looking at Dabai's disdain, Qi Dayuan offered Dabai a bet that he could not refuse, the inherited martial arts of the Kailan clan. Even though Dabai still has the mind of a child, he knows the importance of this technique to him. An hour later, looking at the small bucket that could no longer hold all the silverfish, Qi Dayuan was full of question marks. This time, he did not cast a spell to prevent himself from catching any fish. After tearfully giving away the Kailan inheritance method, Qi Dayuan huddled on the shell of a wood turtle with a somewhat lonely look on his face, and disappeared near Linghu Lake as the wood turtle went away. Dabai didn't understand Qi Dayuan's sadness. Instead, he tried to practice new skills happily. In the following days, Dabai's cultivation level rose steadily. The secret skills inherited also made him powerful. Now he is a true fire Kylan cub. In addition to the changes in these spirit beasts, senior sister Wen also overcame the calamity of her inner demons. In such a short period of time, she overcame the calamity of her inner demons and was only one step away from becoming an immortal. It can only be said that she is worthy of being the number one prodigy in Baiko Peak. After learning that Chen Zhuge went to the small secret realm, senior sister Wen also took the initiative to look after the Garden of Eden. After all, it was her junior brother's property, and she just wanted to relax, so the Garden of Eden was a good place. The appearance of senior sister Wen, the number one prodigy of Baiko Peak, in the Garden of Eden attracted a large number of admirers and disciples who admired her in the sect. The business of the Garden of Eden was booming, and the large number of spiritual beast variants left by Chen Zhuge before leaving suddenly became short of stock. It can only be said that this is the star effect in the world of cultivation. Apart from the changes in the Garden of Eden, the biggest change is probably the 5 beasts staying in the small world of ferocious beasts. The elder who was in charge at the time wanted to buy a spiritual beast with greater potential for his newly born granddaughter. After learning about the Garden of Eden from an unexpected news, he paid a little more attention to the performance of the 5 beasts in the small world of fierce beasts. The first spiritual beast for disciples of the 10,000 Beasts sect, unless they are geniuses with special physiques, it is best not to use spiritual beasts with the blood of divine beasts or immortal beasts to lay the foundation. Too much is as bad as too little. The elder was so shocked when he saw this that he dropped his jaw. In the years he had been guarding this small world of ferocious beasts, he had seen all kinds of spirit beasts, some fighting above their level, some bloodthirsty, some violent, some cowardly, some hypocritical, and so on. But how could he describe these 5 beasts? They gave people a strange feeling, and their progress in cultivation was really outrageous. In the small world of ferocious beasts, Yu Li looked at a huge bone stick that was 10 meters long, and hit the huge crocodile beast that was about to bite Zhang Ji's head with its big mouth hard, making the beast dizzy. Zhang Ji wiped the saliva off his face and said, "Ali, what's wrong with you? Why are you taking so long to come?" "Brother Zhang, this is not my fault. Look at I and Ali, they are even more unreliable than me." Yu Li pointed with a huge bone stick at the 2 dragons circling around a large bird in the early stage of the 4th stage in the sky. Zhang Ji was very dissatisfied. This was a battle. Although the enemy was a little weaker this time, the big crocodile on his side was at the peak of the 4th level. Why didn't they help him quickly? If Yu Li hadn't come, he would have to transform again, and the leather pants he had woven with great difficulty would be lost. Do you know that weaving leather pants is very troublesome? The crocodile behind him, which had recovered from its shock, roared angrily at the 2 beasts with their backs to them, and opened its big mouth, trying to swallow them. Yueli looked at the big crocodile with disdain, and a huge Dharma image appeared behind him. But why did this giant Dharma image look so much like Yueli, who was magnified countless times and wearing armor? Giant, God General. The huge bone stick burst out with powerful force, the dust cleared, and the giant crocodile's head disappeared. At this moment, Yang Huan, who was dragging a huge snake beast back, said with some dissatisfaction, "My favorite head is gone." "I'm sorry, Awan, I will pay attention." Yueli apologized sincerely. After the hunt, the 5 beasts gathered together and roasted their prey. If Chen Zhuge were here, he would have discovered that Zhang Ji's cultivation had reached the late 4th level, and the other 4 beasts had also reached the middle 4th level. The spiritual light emanating from their bodies indicated that the 5 beasts' cultivation was progressing very quickly and were almost at the point of success. Although the speed of the ferocious beasts' small world is 1/10, this is too exaggerated. At this moment, only 1 month has passed since Chen Zhuge entered the small world and the heaven. They have achieved this result in less than a year. It can be said to be extremely outrageous. However, it also shows that the golden finger still needs a battle to activate the potential of the bloodline in order to extract the bloodline. Martial Arts World, Taiyuan City. Under the 10-year rule of the new prefect, the people of Taiyuan City have become accustomed to it, not to mention that after the new prefect came, everyone's life has become better. There are no thugs on the streets anymore, and the original private name for him has changed from Outer Demon to Heavenly Soldier. It can be said that there has been a huge change. Of course, these achievements have little to do with Chen Zhuge. In the past 10 years, Chen Zhuge has been constantly collecting exotic beasts and martial arts secrets from this world, trying to integrate them into the green vine immortal body, but unfortunately the results are not great. On the other hand, in terms of exotic beasts, with the help of the golden finger,
Chen Zhuge's gains far exceeded expectations. Chapter 68. The Empress selects a concubine. In 10 years, Taiyuan City has regained its former prosperity. Although the population has not yet recovered to its former size, the economy has far surpassed it. Under the expedition of the Red Armor Army and the Black Armor Army, the barbaric tribes closer to Taiyuan City were either destroyed or surrendered. Under the deterrence of military force, these frightened tribes chose to trade with Taiyuan City. A large influx of exotic beast resources caused the number and quality of Taiyuan City's troops to rise steadily. Among them, apart from the Red Armor Army and the Black Armor Army, the strongest force was called the Taiyuan Tiger and Leopard Cavalry. This is a force covered in full armor and riding on strange beasts that look like tigers and leopards. Its combat effectiveness has been demonstrated in several wars caused by rebels. The Wu dynasty was not peaceful during the past 10 years. After Bailey Wen left, Princess Li Kaihui of the Wu dynasty succeeded to the throne and became the new generation of empress of the Wu dynasty. This empress was not one who would surrender. Under Bailey Wen's torture, Li Kaihui hated outsiders like the Wanshao sect very much. With the help of a group of diehard fans and those rebels operating in secret, he also created a lot of noise. Unfortunately, due to the huge gap in strength, they were defeated one by one, and countless people who once stood at the pinnacle of the martial arts world fell. Inside the Wu dynasty palace, Lin Wanhai, the person in charge of the expedition of the small world of Wanxiaomen this time, said to the gorgeously dressed and noble empress in front of him, "Stop making trouble, it's meaningless." "Make trouble? This is my Li family's world. You demons have occupied our world and killed my father and brother. You actually say I'm making trouble?" Lu Kaihui said with a ferocious face. "I'm sorry." Lin Wanhai was very dissatisfied with Bailey Wen's behavior. If the Bailey family was not too powerful and Bailey Wen was not the direct descendant of the Golden Immortal, he would have to pay the price. "Will it work? All my relatives are dead. Either you kill me, or I will keep doing this." Li Kaihui pointed at Lin Wanhai and shouted. "After so many years, you should know our strength, and this is just a small and insignificant force of our sect. If you really want revenge, I suggest you cooperate with us and become our subordinate small world. Then you still have a chance of revenge." Lin Wanhai suggested. "Will you help us get revenge? Are you insulting my intelligence?" Li Kaihui sneered. Lin Wanhai scratched his head, and finally described the general framework of the Wanshao sect to the stubborn empress, and told her about Bailey Wen, the culprit who killed his relatives. As for the consequences, what consequences could there be? It was Bailey Wen who broke the rules first. Although the Lin family did not have a golden immortal, it was also an old-fashioned celestial immortal family. His Bailey family did not belong to Bailey Wen yet, and Lin Wanhai had already been determined to be the next head of the Lin family. If it were not for the purpose of accumulating qualifications, he would have broken through to the Mahayana stage long ago and started preparing to become an immortal. Lin Wanhai was in a very good mood after persuading the empress. In fact, the royal families of these conquered small worlds lived a pretty good life after becoming subordinate small worlds of the Wanshao Gate. Some of them were even considered powerful within the Wanshao Gate. In the study room of the Imperial Palace, Lu Kaihui took out a jade plaque with cracks on it, with the word Li engraved on the front and Hai engraved on the back. He remained silent for a long time, then sighed and said, "Father, please don't blame your daughter." The next day, the empress, who had been on the throne for 10 years, issued an imperial decree to select a concubine for the harem, causing an uproar throughout the country. Taiyuan City. Upon hearing this, Chen Zhuge looked confused and said to Chen Kui, who came to inform him, "You said that the empress has started to choose concubines." "Yes, maybe someone persuaded her. If she can't beat them, she can join them. After all, it was Bailey Wen who murdered her relatives, not us." Chen Kui was also helpless. They spared no effort to improve the people's livelihood in Taiyuan City and build a strong army, intending to seize some cities that were not under the command of the disciples of Wanxiaomen. Due to the lack of cooperation from the empress, no one would care about such matters. But now it seems that this is not possible. After all, Wanxiaomen is a relatively upright sect and is still very friendly to those small worlds. "I'll go find out what's going on." Chen Zhuge began to contact Zhu Yinghuang. "Brother Zhu, what's the situation with this empress?" Chen Zhuge couldn't wait to ask as soon as he heard it. "Brother Chen, what else could it be?" Lin Wanhai made the empress make a fuss for 10 years, and finally convinced her. "It seems that this mission has failed.
It's really infuriating. Zhu Yinghuang said, gritting his teeth. What is the specific situation? Chen Zhuge asked. Well, I'll let my sister tell you about this. Zhu Yinghuang laughed. Is it senior brother Chen? Zhu Yingke asked softly. Junior sister, what is the situation now? Chen Zhuge continued to ask. Even if the Empress agrees to join our Wanshao sect and has the righteousness of the Wu dynasty, we cannot start a war now. All we have to do next is to contact the rebels in various places and determine which ones are resisting to the end and which ones are willing to surrender. Then the Empress will eliminate them herself to prove her ability. As for us, we will probably just come here to travel. Zhu Yingke was also a little discouraged. Unlike other small worlds, the martial arts world was originally a unified dynasty. As long as the royal family was willing to surrender, and the Wanshao Gate gave some help to help her clear the obstacles, she could easily take it over. By the way, what position did senior brother Chen choose when he came? If he becomes a general or something like that, he'd be at a loss without a base. The elders above seem to be planning to give our group of disciples some compensation. The cities we occupied before seem to belong to individuals. If we don't have them, then forget it. Don't try to occupy the cities now. The consequences of not following the rules will be very serious. Zhu Yingke warned. I understand. Chen Zhuge agreed. It's really like traveling. Chen Kui also smiled bitterly. Fortunately, Taiyuan City is not small and the resources are pretty good. I can obtain a large number of exotic beasts, which are quite effective for body refining, so it's not a loss. Chen Kui comforted himself. A world war was averted when the Empress publicly issued an edict to select a concubine. No one knew the result. Those disciples of the 10,000 Beast sect who felt there was no hope of a breakthrough and wanted to build a foundation were wailing all over the place. It was rare to have such a good opportunity to expand a small world without the presence of the demon abyss. The next time, they might not even be able to wait until their lifespans ran out. This incident was somewhat of a blow to the cultivators of the Chen family. After all, they had mobilized such a large number of manpower this time just to carve out a larger territory for the Chen family, to support a second true immortal, and to expand the family's power. They had never expected that after sharpening their swords for 10 years, they were told that they didn't need to unsheath their swords before they even unsheathed them. It was over. The commotion outside did not disturb Chen Zhuge. He was already very satisfied with having a Taiyuan city. Now he should seize the time to integrate the martial arts training system of this world into his own practice. Also, the strange beasts here seemed a little special. Maybe he could get a few powerful thugs. Chapter 69, Strange Beasts in Return. The Empress's selection of a concubine had a great impact on ordinary people. As the prefect, Chen Zhuge also asked his subordinates to help find some handsome men to send to the palace, in order to complete the task. Of course, the person who had the greatest influence on this imperial edict was Li Kaiyuan. On the night the imperial edict was announced, Li Kaiyuan secretly came to the prefectural government. Chen Zhuge told her everything he knew, and managed to convince the girl. As the small world stabilized, the sex immortal Golden Immortal also withdrew his magical powers, and the time in the small world returned to the normal 110. If it weren't for the attraction of the exotic beasts and the cultivation system, Chen Zhuge really didn't think he could stay there. Time passed, and 18 years had passed since the Empress selected her concubine. Over the course of 18 years, the Chen family's original aid group gradually withdrew, and the original 30 returned to void cultivators also basically returned, leaving only Chen Kui, who had good management skills but exhausted his potential, and a few old cultivators still in Taiyuan City. As for the Red Armor Army and the Black Armor Army, there are only 250 of them left. Fortunately, with Chen Zhuge's efforts over the years, the strength of the Taiyuan City army is also very strong. The former Tiger and Leopard cavalry has become one of the most elite troops in the entire Wu dynasty. After 18 years, we have finally succeeded. It's time for me to withdraw. Chen Zhuge said with the vicissitudes of life. During these 18 years, Chen Zhuge basically spent his time in the exotic beast garden he built. He was either studying martial arts or using the golden finger to create exotic beasts. Barry, it's time for us to go too. Chen Zhuge touched the huge snake beside him, then smiled bitterly and said, I forgot you couldn't understand. Bali is Chen Zhuge's greatest achievement in the past 18 years. With his peak return to void cultivation in a body of nearly 100 meters, according to Chen Kui's actual combat tests, it is likely that ordinary sect disciples of the same level are no match for Bali. This name also represents Chen Zhuge's expectations for Bali, hoping that it can surpass the Basque and become the strongest alien beast. The next step is to hand over Taiyuan City to Chen Kui, and then we can go back. Chen Zhuge said easily. In the study. After Chen Kui reported the approximate output of Taiyuan City, he said to Chen Zhuge, 13th brother, the family's plan is that we will help manage Taiyuan City. Of course, if 13th brother, you can arrange for someone to come in, but you will still be the main leader. Secondly, these resources will be divided 50-50. But these are not fixed. When the 13th brother's people grow up, the profit will be 30% to 70%. In the early stage, the family will contribute more, so they will get more benefits. Chen Zhuge had no objection to this. He was not the patriarch of a family and did not need to think too much. The output of Taiyuan City was actually average, except for the exotic beasts, which had some characteristics. Some ores were relatively common, and the Chen family had many people within it so they could digest it themselves. That's all, third brother. Chen Zhuge now only wanted to return to the sect. By the way, 13th brother, Li Kaiyuan from the royal family wants to see you. He is in the inner hall. Chen Kui reminded. Okay, I'll go and take a look. Taiyuan City will be handed over to my third brother from now on. Arrange a team of people for me. I want to take them back. I hope their cultivation level can be controlled to around the nascent soul stage. Chen Zhuge said. It is good. Inner hall 18 years have turned the young girl into a graceful lady, but now this lady is a little uneasy. It was not until Chen Zhuge appeared that Li Kaiyuan felt relieved. He seemed to realize that he had lost his composure and quickly stood up and said respectfully, Sir, I have a request. Chen Zhuge looked at Li Kaiyuan in front of him and smiled, Why should I help you? Although the Li family has been obedient over the years, this is not a reason for him to help Li Kaiyuan. What's more, Chen Zhuge has long known Li Kaiyuan's purpose, which is nothing more than following him to heaven. After a moment of spiritual communication in his heart, Li Kaiyuan took out a ruyi from his clothes on his chest and said, This is a family heirloom of my Li family. Chen Zhuge took the ruyi, which exuded a faint milky fragrance, and with a check with his spiritual sense, he found that there was actually a drop of golden blood floating inside the ruyi. As soon as he got closer to Chen Zhuge, he felt a terrifying pressure. What was this? Looking at Li Kaiyuan who seemed to be unaware of the situation with some surprise, Chen Zhuge pondered and said, You can bring 10 people with me to the Wanshao gate, but the prerequisite is that you become my subordinates. Your servant greets the master. Li Kaiyuan seemed to have been prepared and knelt down without hesitation. Chen Zhuge helped him up and said, No need to do that. I will arrange some things for you to do when the time comes. Also, your cultivation is a little lacking. You are only a great martial artist. You still have to practice hard when you arrive at the Myriad Beasts Gate. Go and prepare. You have 3 days. 3 days later. Chen Zhuge said goodbye to Chen Kui again in the prefect's mansion. Looking at the 100 men under his command, the 10 men brought by Li Kaiyuan, and the strange snake Bali, Chen Zhuge activated the token. Then, seeing that it would take 30,000 merits to bring back so many people, the corners of his mouth twitched involuntarily. If it weren't for the remaining 50,000 merits from the Garden of Eden, he wouldn't be able to even think about earning merits in this small world by himself. A huge column of light rose in the prefectural government's mansion, and even Lin Wanhai, who was far away in the imperial palace, could see it. That must be the city of the disciples of the third elder of Baiko Peak. It seems he has gone back too. Lin Wanhai said with emotion. Nonsense, who wants to stay in this shabby place for no reason? Really, when are you going to deal with it? Zhu Yinghuang said dissatisfiedly. The city chosen by the Zhu family was near the imperial city, and then during an unexpected operation, Lin Wanhai and Zhu Yinghuang became good friends. It's almost there, it's almost there. Didn't we promise the Empress that we would bring her 10 offspring to join the Wanshao sect? We only have one last child left, and it should be born in the next few years. Lin Wanhai said helplessly. Only you can think of this, to let her give birth to a child so that she can seek revenge on Bailey Wen. Zhu Yinghuang was speechless. The result is pretty good, isn't it? Lin Wanhai didn't care about Zhu Yinghuang's teasing. Chen Zhuge looked at the place where he was teleported to. It was the cave he had entered before. Nothing unexpected happened, which was good. Looking at the people behind him who were full of vigilance, Chen Zhuge said, Don't be nervous, don't talk nonsense next time, just follow me. By the way, you don't know the language of this world yet, so I will buy you some language jade slips and inject them with it. He returned to the Garden of Eden with 100 people. When Ruo was holding a golden puppy that had just been born and asked in surprise, "Junior brother, why did you bring so many people back?" "Ah, senior sister Wen, you've come out of seclusion? Isn't the Garden of Eden very short of manpower? If I were the only one taking care of it every day, I wouldn't even have enough time to practice. These people can help me take care of it." Chen Zhuge explained. "Is that so? You have to exchange some skills for them, otherwise they can't practice their original skills here." Wen Ruo reminded. "Senior sister, I already have an idea about this." Chen Zhuge nodded to show that he understood. Then, he looked at Bali behind him and said in embarrassment, "Senior sister, my beast has too low intelligence. I'm afraid it can't learn the skills. What should I do?" Wen Ruo stepped forward to investigate and said, "Is it a type of vicious beast?" "Ask Master. It just so happens that you have returned from the small world, so Master should be able to summon you." Chapter 70. Master's Teachings. After dealing with the language problems of his people, Chen Zhuge immediately took out a lot of body-building exercises from the sutra library for these people to practice. During this time, he was severely cheated of a lot of spirit stones by the book spirit. This book spirit is so cruel. Chen Zhuge felt a little sorry for the spirit stone. There is no other way. After all, the time for cultivation is too short. Li Kaiyuan and others want to transform their skills, so it is most appropriate to spend some spirit stones to ask the book spirit for advice. There is no need to ask senior sister and master for such a small matter. But my own adventure is really hard to describe. Before the Fire Kirin secret realm encountered any real danger, he met brother Huo Lai who led him all the way to the safe zone. The most important thing was that the Fire Kirin was born, but the result was another joke. It ended without any incident, and he also got the Fire Kirin bloodline for free. The martial arts world this time was strong and powerful, and we wanted to do an experiment to hone our skills, but they ended up surrendering and no longer needed us. We got some for free, improved our skills, and gained a city, but we didn't even leave Taiyuan. It's ridiculous. Could it be that I am a child of luck? Chen Zhuge expressed deep doubts about this. After handing over the skills to Li Kaiyuan and others, Chen Zhuge called He Ian, who was grazing not far away, and said, "They are new here. Tell them about the situation in the Garden of Eden. They will be responsible for the sale of spirit beasts, as well as some miscellaneous matters and security." The big head with black eyes nodded twice silently, and Chen Zhuge rubbed his dog head twice angrily, and planned to go to his master's cave. As a celestial being, Wen Tianming's cave dwelling was very simple, consisting of a few row of small wooden houses with many medicinal herbs planted near them. When Chen Zhuge got closer and took a look, he took a breath of cold air, as these medicinal herbs were either of the 7th rank or already immortal products. Looking at Chen Zhuge, a stranger who came here for the first time, those high-grade spiritual medicines transformed into little men one by one. They opened their big innocent eyes and hid behind those spiritual medicines that could not transform and watched secretly, and kept making discussions in their mouths. Although Chen Zhuge could not understand their language, he could roughly guess what they meant. "Okay, little guys, go back. This is the master's new disciple." A wooden house opened and an old man in green clothes said softly. The old man turned around and introduced himself, "I am the master's spirit beast, the Wanggu Teng. Your Wanggu Teng is one of my children. My name is Guman. Uncle Guman, I will take good care of the little Wanggu Teng." Chen Zhuge saluted quickly. "You're welcome. You are the master's disciple. Just call me by my name, or you can call me Gulao like Xiao Wen. As for my child, I believe he will live well." Guman said with a smile. "Guman, go make a cup of tea. Zhuge and I want to chat." Wen Tianming also came out of the wooden house in the middle. While Guman was making tea, Wen Tianming carefully checked Chen Zhuge's cultivation and said, "The 4th level of body refining is complete, not bad, but your cultivation method is not very good. Show me the cultivation method of that small world and I will help you deal with it." After Wen Tianming took a general look at these techniques, he closed his eyes and reasoned for a while before sending a flash of inspiration into Chen Zhuge's mind, saying, "I have integrated these techniques with the green vine immortal body, but you can only practice them to the Mahayana stage. You still need to improve the techniques after the true immortal stage. However, the system of this small world is very suitable for the green vine immortal body. After the improvement, it can enhance the recovery ability and defense power a lot, which is very good. At this time, Guman had come up with 2 cups of tea. Sitting at the stone table in the courtyard, Wen Tianming said, "Try it. How about your master's spiritual tea?" Looking at the ordinary tea, Chen Zhuge took a sip. A huge amount of spiritual energy washed over his body. His body training, which had been a little impetuous, was instantly stabilized and consolidated. Even his qi training was greatly improved, reaching the late nascent soul stage directly. Chen Zhuge felt the changes in himself, his eyes full of shock. Wen Tianming sipped the tea carefully and said, "Only the first sip will be effective. When you go back, consolidate your cultivation and don't be too aggressive. I also know a little about the situation in this small world. It was mainly because Bailey Wen from the Bailey family broke the rules, which gave the royal family of that small world the right to choose. This world was originally very suitable for you to train, it's a pity. The 100 or so people you brought back are from that small world, right? The people in the small world have achieved great success in cultivation. After joining our myriad beast sect, they all become the guardians of the Dao, expanding the territory for the sect's small world or fighting against the demon abyss. There are not many people this time. I have already arranged for them to be your personal errand disciples. In the future, try not to bring those who did not ascend on their own. When you have a higher level of cultivation and are about to go to the battlefield with the demon abyss, you can find someone else. As for the purple blood Taoist soldiers you refined, put them aside for now and study more about taming beasts. For you, Taoist soldiers are just hard labor at best. It is better to cultivate tamed beasts. Besides, learning too many things is not conducive to becoming an immortal. Thank you for your teachings, Master." Chen Zhuge bowed in thanks. "No need to do that. I am about to pass the tribulation, and I have less energy to focus on you. If you have any questions in the future, you can ask Guman. Guman is also a celestial being, and he can solve most problems. By the way, your Garden of Eden has become quite famous recently. Elder Tian, who guards the small world of ferocious beasts, said that he wanted to find a natal spirit beast for his granddaughter. You should find him one with greater potential. You can also gain some benefits by releasing the spirit beast there to train in the future." Wen Tianming said with a smile. "I understand, but would Master, a true immortal, still be in need of spiritual beasts?" Chen Zhuge scratched his head in confusion. There is a shortage everywhere. Elder Tian fought his way up from the bottom of the hierarchy, and he only has one granddaughter. The spirit beasts in our sect's spirit beast hall are basically bred on a fixed basis. Their qualifications and potential are much better than those outside, but they are not top-notch. There are still many disciples and elders in the sect who are breeding high-potential spirit beasts for sale like you, but the speed of breeding a good spirit beast is too slow and the demand has always exceeded supply. Wen Tianming explained. So that's how it is. Chen Zhuge suddenly realized that the spirit beast shop set up by the sect outside has always been doing good business, and he thought that there were countless spirit beasts in the sect. I won't say much about the rest. You just need to practice step by step when you reach the nascent soul stage. Cultivation depends on your heart. Since you have chosen the path of beast taming, don't be too distracted. Physical cultivation is enough to protect your path. Go back and practice well." Wen Tianming warned. Chen Zhuge bowed and withdrew. "Guman, I won't be able to come out of seclusion for the time being. Wait until my little disciple breaks through and reaches the return to void stage. You can take the 2 little guys to their Garden of Eden in the Medicine Garden to increase their foundation. Since they have a good talent in raising beasts, as their master, you should also support them." Wen Tianming said to Guman. "Okay, Master. If you don't become an immortal golden immortal, you will be troubled by your lifespan. It is difficult to practice, it is difficult to achieve immortality, and it is even more difficult to live as long as the sky." Wen Tianming sighed and began his formal retreat. Chapter 71, Spiritual Beast Transformation. After returning to the Garden of Eden, Chen Zhuge still had to deal with a lot of matters, especially the handling of spirit beasts. Master is right. I have been learning too many things during this period. Now that I have the help of the Golden Finger, I will definitely make achievements in taming beasts. I really shouldn't divide my attention. Develop special spirit beasts, win the title of Beast Breeding Master in the Myriad Beasts sect, accumulate connections and prepare for the future war in the Demon Abyss. Thinking about it this way, it seems very similar to the development path of the sect's Great Elder. The world is polarized. The heaven represents light, while the devil's abyss is its opposite, representing darkness. Once many small worlds are captured by the demon abyss, all the creatures in them will become their food, and the entire small world will become a breeding ground for monsters. It can be said to be very miserable. The overlord-level forces in the entire heaven basically have their own battlefields of the demon abyss, which is why the heaven has always been peaceful. The 5 beasts including Zhangji have not come out yet. The master also said that Elder Tian, who is in charge of the small world of ferocious beasts, will come to ask for spiritual beasts soon. There is no need to rush and he can just inquire about it when the time comes. Hey Ian, where are you and Dabai? Chen Zhuge asked Hey Ian who was herding diligently. After instructing his people to continue working, Hey Ian rushed over and said, after Sister Yu refined the 2nd level elixir more than a year ago, she has been saying that she wants the master to come back and be surprised. She took the alchemy furnace to refine the elixir. As for where she refined the elixir, I don't know. Hey Ian was really depressed about this matter. Since he, a dog, couldn't find Yu Meng's exact location, the key point was that Hey Ian could be sure that Yu Meng was definitely in the Garden of Eden. Yumen, do you have this ambition? Chen Zhuge was very skeptical. Hey Ian didn't know what to say, so he just scratched his big head. Upon seeing this, Chen Zhuge did not ask any further questions. The black-eyed creature actually looked scary, but its personality was very honest. This was why Chen Zhuge wanted to train it to be a permanent spirit beast in the Garden of Eden. What about Dabai? Chen Zhuge continued to ask. Dabai has been staying with another fire Kylin for the past 2 years, but it seems that he has gained a lot of benefits from that fire Kylin. I think his cultivation progress is very fast. Hey Ian was not very clear about Dabai. After all, the area where he was active was mainly in the grassland where the red flame sheep was, and he seldom went to the Linghu area. Okay, go call Dabai over, and I'll go find Yu Meng. Chen Zhuge nodded. Triggering the natal decree in his mind, Chen Zhuge quickly found out where Yu Meng was, a very unexpected place. Gravel woodland. Chen Zhuge looked from afar at the golden-lined iron-backed apes that had been appointed as keepers before. Under Yu Meng's command, some of the apes kept handing over elixirs, while others kept releasing spiritual energy to keep the spiritual fire burning in the alchemy furnace. As time passed, the elixir was completed. The monkeys below were overjoyed. Yu Meng's snow-white hair was stained with some black ash. She took out a handful of pills from the furnace and put them into the jade bottle. I didn't expect that what He Ian said was actually true. Chen Zhuge looked at Yu Meng with a look of relief. Chen Zhuge's sudden voice startled Yu Meng, and she immediately stood up proudly and said, "What's true or false? Look, I have already refined a 4th level pill." "Very good, what do you want?" Chen Zhuge rewarded. "I need some helpers. These monkeys are too careless and not very good at handling elixirs. The elixirs they refine every time are only of medium or low quality." Yu Meng said without hesitation. These words made Chen Zhuge completely believe that Yu Meng had changed. After pondering for a while, Chen Zhuge said, "I will train some medicine rabbits to help you. Since you are not good at fire magic, I will give you a few fire dragons as your helpers." "That's the best. Okay, I'm going to make the elixir, don't disturb me." Yu Meng stretched out her short hands and pushed Chen Zhuge away with disdain. Seeing Yu Meng working so hard, Chen Zhuge didn't say anything and made up his mind to provide Yu Meng with manpower as soon as possible. As for Yu Meng, who pushed Chen Zhuge away, she was in a good mood at the moment, and she was much more patient when looking at the clumsy monkey below. When Chen Zhuge returned to the courtyard, he saw Qi Dayuan and Dabai fighting. Looking at the 2 little Kylins rolling on the ground, Chen Zhuge looked at the helpless He Ian beside him and said, "What's going on? And how did Dabai become a god?" "I don't know. When I went to call Dabai, they were fishing and had been arguing. As soon as we got to the yard, they started fighting." He Ian said puzzledly. "Stop, stop, stop." The 2 little Kylins glanced at Chen Zhuge. Dabai originally wanted to let go, but Qi Dayuan exerted force and rode on it, gaining the upper hand and forcing Dabai to resist. Chen Zhuge's face turned dark. What was going on with Qi Dayuan? Did he think that no one cared about him in Zuk Peak? "Very!" Chen Zhuge shouted angrily. A huge shadow loomed over the 2. Qi Dayuan looked at the huge body and couldn't help swallowing his saliva. Is it really so outrageous? Isn't he just a nascent soul? Why would there be a spirit beast that can return to the void? Standing up and raising his two little hooves, Chi Dayuan said flatteringly, Dabai and I are just joking. We are brothers, good brothers. Chen Juok ignored Chi Dayuan's funny behavior and said to Dabai seriously, I am very pleased that you have made rapid progress in your cultivation. This proves that you did not slack off when I was not around. But you still need to work hard. It's okay to relax at other times, but it's outrageous to do what you did today. Dabai lowered his head in shame. Touching the head that felt good, Chen Juok said softly, forget it this time, I want to see your actions next time. I understand, master. And you, what's going on with you? I remember junior sister Zhu came back a while earlier than me. Why did you come to me instead of staying at Suzaku Peak? Chen Juok's attitude towards Chi Dayuan was not so good. No, with your attitude, your Dabai was able to break through to the god transformation realm so quickly, and it was the inheritance of the Kailan clan that I contributed. And you actually want to drive me away? Chi Dayuan said angrily. I clearly won it by fishing. Dabai argued in a low voice. Chi Dayuan didn't respond, just looked at Chen Juok and waved away Dabai and Hei Ian. Chen Juok said to Chi Dayuan, you were a celestial being in your previous life. I see that you don't have much memory loss. Is there any intention behind this? What could it be? It's nothing more than for the golden immortal. Dabai's bloodline is much better than mine, almost catching up with the bloodline of the Kailan royal family. The possibility of becoming a golden immortal is very high. Although I have to cultivate again, I was forced to do so at the beginning. How can it be so easy to become a golden immortal? Chi Dayuan said somewhat listlessly. Since you passed on the inheritance to the big white Kailan, I won't say much. As long as it doesn't affect Dabai's cultivation, it's fine. Chen Juok decided to observe Chi Dayuan for a while longer. No matter how strong it was in its previous life, it is just a deity now. With Bali around, it is unlikely to make any big noise. After inspecting the spirit beasts in the Garden of Eden, Chen Juok gathered Li Kaiyuan and others for a simple meal. After informing them of their current identities and the work they would need to do in the future, he planned to train some special spirit beasts to further expand the business of the Garden of Eden. Chapter 72. Cultivating Special Spiritual Beasts. If you want to cultivate a special spiritual beast, you must first determine the most popular type of spiritual beast in the Wanshao Gate, in order to open up the market faster and build a reputation. This matter was easy to handle. Chen Juok found senior sister Wen, who was sitting in meditation at the top of the mountain. Junior brother, are you here to see me? Wen Ruo, who was sitting on the top of the mountain, was a little surprised to see his junior brother who suddenly visited him. His junior brother was a homebody and had only come to see him a few times over the years. Yes, senior sister, I want to ask some questions. Chen Juok said a little embarrassedly. Wen Ruo smiled and said, please tell me, junior brother. Anyway, I usually sit in meditation on the top of the mountain in the mornings, so I don't have anything to do. Senior sister, I want to cultivate some special spiritual beasts, but I don't know which type of spiritual beasts are more popular. Chen Juok asked. Is it popular? Wen Ruo thought for a moment and said, junior brother, I only know more about our Baiko Peak, so I will give you a general idea. The more popular spirit beasts on Baiko Peak tend to be auxiliary ones, such as water and wood spirit beasts that can help grow spiritual medicine. Of course, this does not mean that combat spirit beasts are unpopular, but it is only relatively popular with Baiko Peak. If you look at the entire Wanshao sect, combat-type spirit beasts are more popular, but the competition is fierce. Some brothers and elders have bred and sold this type of spirit beast. If you want to breed new spirit beasts for sale, it's better to choose auxiliary ones. For example, those who can help with planting, help with processing spiritual medicines, have flexible control, and have great strength. Look for those spiritual plant masters, alchemists and weapon refiners who have more money. Chen Juok nodded when he heard this. He thought so too, but he didn't know what the market was like. According to what his senior sister said, there were many people in the sect who cultivated spirit beasts, but most of them were more inclined towards combat. So his next direction could be determined. After chatting with his senior sister for a while and cultivating friendship with his fellow disciples, Chen Juok planned to go back and show his skills. The first spiritual beast confirmed is the medicine rabbit. The medicine rabbit is a super low-end version of the moon rabbit, but its planting ability and ability to process spiritual medicines are still pretty good. Chen Juok has sold 2 of them before and the effects are also good. The source of its bloodline is simply the snow rabbit, but not every snow rabbit has it. However, the base number of snow rabbits is large enough, so it is enough to cultivate some. The second is the little fire monkey Dashan adopted by the ecosystem. The fire monkey has a trace of the power of fire and is also a monkey. It is suitable for refining medicine or weapons. The grade is not low. In addition, its combat power is not bad and it is also quite cute. For the last one, Chen Zhuge decided to cultivate a lark turtle. The lark turtle's ability is universal, and its ability to gather spirits is good for both cultivation and assistance. Although many people have cultivated it, it has always been in short supply. In addition, Chen Zhuge can use his golden finger to cultivate lark turtles with purer blood and stronger spirit gathering, so he is not afraid of competition at all. For the sake of these three spiritual beasts, Chen Zhuge specially opened up 3 bases in the breeding area of the moonlight giant frog to provide a better environment for these 3 spiritual beasts. Coming to the meat area, Chen Zhuge looked at the snow rabbits, spirit chickens and grey stone rats that popped their heads out from the ground from time to time. Chen Zhuge began to extract blood to cultivate medicinal rabbits. The blood content of medicinal rabbits is very low. Basically, only dozens of snow rabbits will have a trace. It takes nearly 2,000 to breed a snow rabbit with average blood. However, since Chen Zhuge intends to create high-quality spiritual beasts, he naturally has to cultivate medicinal rabbits with stronger blood potential. He emptied the accumulation of the entire snow rabbit population to create 50 or so medicinal rabbits. This number can only be said to be neither too much nor too little, and it is enough for the time being. The fire monkey is a bit more troublesome. This bloodline exists in the fire attribute spirit beasts that Zhu Yinghuang brought last time. It is a variant of the low-level fire monkey. There are only a few thousand fire monkeys, and they still live in the ecosystem. I don't know how many are left. If there are not many, I have to ask Zhu Yinghuang to buy some. No, he doesn't seem to have come out yet, so I have to ask Zhu Yingke. It's really a headache. After drilling around in the ecosystem for a whole day, Chen Zhuge looked at the amount of blood in his hand that was only enough for a few fire monkeys. He was a little speechless. After all, it was a third-level spirit beast. The number of other second-level spirit beasts that survived was better than that of the fire monkey. It was really disappointing. Let's deal with the lark turtle first, and then contact Zhu Yingke tomorrow. Chen Zhuge shook his head. He was not good at dealing with women. The bloodline of the Squirtle comes from the garlic turtle, which is the garlic turtle that looks like Bulbasaur. Looking at the dead grass turtles lying on the ground, Chen Zhuge chuckled, but didn't say anything about these grass turtles. After years of cultivation, their grade has generally reached the 4th grade. They usually just lie down and sleep, and eat when they wake up. They have no natural enemies, so they naturally become like this. However, it makes it convenient for Chen Zhuge to draw their blood. I don't know why there are actually quite a lot of lark turtle bloodlines among the plant turtles. You only need a dozen of them to get a lark turtle with good bloodlines, and 30 or so can get a 5th level high-quality lark turtle. The number of wood turtles has skyrocketed in recent years, from a few hundred at the beginning to nearly 10,000 today. The plant essence condensed by them every year can also bring Chen Zhuge a lot of spirit stones. This time, they provided more than 300 high-quality wood turtles, which are simply model spirit beasts. After settling these spirit beasts, Chen Zhuge's mission for the day was considered completed. That night, Chen Zhuge, who was drinking a little wine, suddenly had an idea. Since his golden finger could extract blood, could he cultivate it artificially? Just like the hybridization in his previous life, he could get 2 different spirit beasts as long as he separated them. If he chose 2 similar and valuable spirit beasts, his cultivation speed would probably increase dramatically. Thinking of this possibility, Chen Zhuge was so excited that he almost couldn't concentrate on his cultivation. Next day Chen Zhuge, who was planning to go to Zuk Peak, suddenly found that he seemed to not know Zhu Yingke's cave, so he could only take out the communication stone to contact her. As a result, Zhu Yingke told her that he was not at Zuk Peak now, but fortunately, a low-level spiritual beast like the fire monkey was still very easy to deal with given Zhu Yingke's identity, so she only left a message that someone would send her to the Garden of Eden later. In the afternoon, Chen Zhuge successfully received this batch of nearly 10,000 fire monkeys. Although he paid a lot of spirit stones, it was still worth it. After all, it was Zhu Yingke's order. The price of this batch of fire monkeys was also 30% lower than the normal shop price, so it was considered a huge profit. After dealing with the last Luo monkey,
Chen Zhuge's man Li Kaiyuan sent some people to take care of these 3 spirit beasts. The food would be delivered on time by the golden-lined iron-backed ape, and they only had to ensure the normal growth of these spirit beasts. Just add these 3 spirit beasts to the list of spirit beasts for sale. Next, I have to try out my idea from last night. If hybridization is really possible, the speed at which I earn spirit stones will reach a terrifying level. Chen Zhuge said excitedly. As for the hybrid experimenters, the most numerous ones are of course the snow rabbits and the spirit chickens. Chapter 73. Hybridization Experiments. First, I have to arrange a home for the 2, then buy some suitable chicken and rabbit spirit beasts, and finally buy some aphrodisiac pills. I can't wait for them to develop feelings and give birth, that would be too slow. Spirit chickens reproduce very quickly, basically taking only 3 months from hatching to adulthood. Their grade is also low, and even with the help of the golden finger, they can only barely reach the top of the first grade. Occasionally, a few of the second grade will appear, so the best spiritual beast to match is around the second grade. Chen Zhuge carefully selected and specifically chose the second-level fire feather chicken with a more similar mixed bloodline. The 2 are also similar in size, so they should be able to adapt, but he doesn't know how high the success rate is. As for the snow rabbits, there are quite a lot of choices. Snow rabbits are slightly better than spirit chickens overall. Most of them can become the second level. Occasionally, there are some that reach the top of the second level, but the brave rabbit has not yet become the golden elixir. The long-tailed rabbit and the one-horned rabbit are both second-level spiritual beasts, and are also the subjects of the snow rabbit's hybridization experiment. He marked out a small area and put the sexually mature parties into their respective areas. Chen Zhuge planned to keep them for a few days to familiarize themselves with them, and then use aphrodisiacs to speed up the process. 3 days later, Chen Zhuge looked at the dozens of spiritual chickens in front of him. These spiritual chickens looked similar to the big roosters in his previous life, except that the roosters were more colorful. The fire-feathered chickens, on the other hand, were relatively simple in color, all red from head to toe. He didn't know if he could succeed. In order to use the aphrodisiac smoothly, Chen Zhuge also specially bought a batch of spiritual insects that spiritual chickens loved the most. The scent of the spirit insects that attracted chickens spread, and the carefree spirit chickens chased Chen Zhuge frantically. Even the fire-feather chickens that had been quite reserved these days could not resist the temptation. There are a total of 15 male spirit chickens and 15 female fire-feather chickens. The effect of this medicine is quite good. In just a quarter of an hour, the spirit chicken rushed towards the fire-feather chicken with red eyes. Chen Zhuge nodded with satisfaction. It was over after 10 minutes. The female fire-feather chicken was specially isolated and it would take a few days to know whether it can lay eggs. The same is true for Lingta's operation. In the small courtyard, Chen Zhuge was also working hard to practice the revised version of Green Vine Immortal Body. Although he could create a large number of high-quality spiritual beasts, his own cultivation was too low. It cannot be said to be too low, but it can be said to be without any characteristics. In terms of body training, now that I have the powerful Green Ivy Immortal Body, I must practice well, at least I can't become one of those fragile beast masters. Don't get into a battle in the future, where the Beastmaster beats the opponent and makes him run away in panic, and then you are beaten by the opponent and have nowhere to escape. That would be too funny. The process of body training can be said to be very arduous, and the combat power is very strong, especially in close combat. He is recognized as the best in close combat in the heavenly realm. It is said that once a body cultivator becomes an immortal, his exaggerated vitality can only be compared to an indestructible cockroach. Feeling the spiritual energy cutting through his body like a knife, Chen Zhuge's face also became a little ferocious. After the revision, the pain increased a lot. It was not so serious before. 7 days later, 5 fire-feather chickens have been successfully bred, but the snow rabbits have not responded yet. One test cannot directly prove that they are incompatible, so Chen Zhuge put the other failed snow rabbits and spirit chickens back in. He plans to try a few more times. At least now he knows that fire-feather chickens and spirit chickens can adapt to each other and there will be no reproductive isolation. 4 months later Chen Zhuge looked at the 5 chicken eggs that were beginning to hatch in front of him with great anticipation, wondering what kind of chicken would come out of them. Boom boom. Out. Chen Zhuge looked at the chick in his hand that was just born with red and yellow feathers, frowned and said, "Aren't chickens hairless when they are born? Let's see how the bloodline is." The most important fire dragon bloodline is still there, with almost no change in the amount.
The same goes for the other bloodlines, except that some disappeared and some appeared. But this main bloodline is a question mark. What the hell is this? Since it was unclear what the main bloodline was, Chen Zhuge named this type of chicken fire spirit chicken, taking one character from each parent, to be fair. As time passed, a large number of fire spirit chickens were bred by Chen Zhuge. During the cultivation process, two things happened. First of all, the situation of the lost continent in the savage realm has been confirmed, and it will return to the sect after a period of time. Chen Zhuge also heard news about his younger sister, and it was said that she was doing well, which put his mind at ease. Another thing is the arrival of Chen Tingting and the snow ape Xiahua. Looking at Xiahua, who was full of expectations, but was told by Chen Zhuge that Zhang Ji was not there, and exuding disappointment, Chen Zhuge said a little embarrassedly, "How about you wait a little longer? Senior brother, isn't this too much trouble for you?" The introverted Chen Tingting actually didn't want to stay here, but in order to see Zhang Ji, Xiahua rushed from the foundation building stage to the golden elixir stage in just a few decades. She had already agreed, and it was not easy to go back on her word. "It's okay. I don't have anything to do on weekdays. There are empty rooms in the small building. You can choose one." Chen Zhuge didn't care. He was busy breeding spirit chickens and snow rabbits every day and observing the new little guys. Except for practicing, he rarely returned to the cave. This little episode also reminded Chen Zhuge of the existence of Zhang Ji and the other 5 beasts. These 5 guys have been in the snow ape world for almost 3 years. Why hasn't it ended yet? Not only Chen Zhuge was troubled by this matter, but also Elder Tian. What's the situation with these 5 guys? 4 are in the middle stage of the nascent soul, and 1 is in the late stage of the nascent soul. It's been 3 years already. 30 years in the small world, and they still haven't come out? This shows that the training level of these disciples is not low. Elder Tian was a little impatient, but also quite satisfied. However, we can't delay any longer. The reputation of this Garden of Eden is growing. The 3 new spirit beasts that have been released recently have great potential and are very useful. I should take Yao to have a look first. Half a month later, the second hybrid spirit chicken was born. Its parents were also a fire feather chicken and a second-level spirit chicken. It was born with snow-white fur, and looked like it had leukemia. After carefully checking its physical condition, it was found that it was several times stronger than the previous fire spirit chicken, and it was born as a first-class spirit beast. Only a few of its most critical bloodlines could be detected. Looking at the little baby in front of him, Chen Zhuge knew that he had succeeded. This was a mutated spiritual beast. Only a mutated spiritual beast would forcibly reject or fuse other bloodlines to produce a different appearance. Mutated spirit beasts are very rare. Although not all mutations result in enhancement, at least this white spirit chicken is. If there is one, there will be 2. For Chen Zhuge, who is determined to become a master of animal breeding, as long as he has the first white spirit chicken, he can breed the second one. After many experiments, when he was finally able to produce white spirit chicken stably, Elder Tian came. Chen Zhuge had no choice but to stop what he was doing and said to Li Kaiyuan, who was recording beside him, "Write down the experimental data this time, and arrange some Taoist soldiers to take good care of these white spirit chickens. After that, you can go and practice." Li Kaiyuan, who was already used to his status, said respectfully, "Yes, senior brother." Chapter 74. Elder Tian and Tian Yao. The Taoist-looking Elder Tian and a quirky little girl, a seemingly incompatible combination, reveal a warm feeling. Looking at Elder Tian, who was looking at his granddaughter with a loving face, Chen Zhuge first saluted, and then asked about the condition of his spirit beast in the small world. "Junior brother Chen, your 5 spirit beasts have great potential. I have been stationed in the small world of ferocious beasts for so many years, and there are not many spirit beasts that can stay there for more than a year." Elder Tian praised. "Uncle Master Tian, you are too polite." Chen Zhuge did not deny it. He used the golden finger to strengthen himself step by step. Even if he is not a divine beast yet, he has the top bloodline potential among the divine beasts, so naturally he will not be bad. "Junior brother Chen, you should know why I came here. I originally planned to bring your spirit beast with me, but I never expected that junior brother Chen's spirit beast would not come out for a long time. In addition, Yao has already reached the late stage of Qi training, so I have to contract a spirit beast." Elder Tian looked at Tian Yao, whose eyes kept moving beside him, lovingly. "Uncle Master Tian, what are you talking about? Nistian's path is important, but I don't know what type of spirit beast Nistian wants. Chen Zhuge asked. I want a spiritual beast that can beat up the bad guys with one punch. Tian Yao's crisp voice rang out. Looking at this innocent little girl with a face full of collagen, Chen Zhuge suspected that he had heard it wrong and asked, what spirit beast? Blast the bad guy's spirit beast with one punch. Tian Yao repeated dissatisfiedly. Elder Tian interrupted with a smile, my granddaughter has been spoiled by me. She actually likes those powerful spirit beasts. I understand. Uncle Chen, I have two kinds of spiritual beasts that I can show you. The violent rabbit with 7th level bloodline, and the powerful ape with 7th level bloodline. Chen Zhuge murmured. As for those that are not at the 7th level, there is no need to say anything. If a true immortal elder comes here and does not bring out some real things, it would be really looking down on him. Junior brother Chen, can we go and take a look? Elder Tian pondered. Okay, come with me. Leading the two to the periphery of the ecosystem, Chen Zhuge described the general appearance of the two beasts, informed them of the location of the breeding park, and said, Elder Tian, please use your spiritual sense to check. If I look for it myself, it will take a long time. Elder Tian was quite decisive. In a moment, two groups of spirit beasts appeared, which happened to be the Power King Ape and the Violent Rabbit. Even as cubs, both are over 1 meter tall, muscular beasts, but the Violent Rabbit looks a little cuter with its light white fur. Although she has a tendency towards violence, she is still a little girl after all, so Tian Yao chose the Violent Rabbit without hesitation. Waving his hand to send the powerful ape back to its original place, Elder Tian asked, Nephew Chen, which of these violent rabbits has higher potential? Upon hearing this, Chen Zhuge smiled bitterly in his heart. Elder Tian was really giving him face. He was already a true immortal. Don't tell me you couldn't see it. Pretending to investigate, he actually used the golden finger to extract the other blood of one of the violent rabbits with the strongest talent potential. Chen Zhuge patted its shoulder and said, Elder Tian, this one, but it is almost building its foundation. I wonder if it will have any impact. Tian Yao's spiritual aptitude is quite good, and she is about to reach the stage of building foundation, which is just right. After making sure that the violent rabbit belonged to her, Tian Yao cheered and hugged the violent rabbit, which was almost as tall as herself. The sudden approach of the stranger caused the violent rabbit to have a stress reaction. Chen Zhuge was about to cast a spell, but he saw that the violent rabbit, which was famous for its strength, was hugged by the little girl Tian Yao and did not move at all. Looking at the bulging muscles, Chen Zhuge knew that it had tried its best, so this was a girl with extraordinary strength. Nephew Chen, don't worry, Tian Yao's physique has some changes. Although it is not a spiritual body, she is born with supernatural power. The general foundation building strength is far inferior to hers. Elder Tian has already gotten used to it. The corner of Chen Zhuge's mouth twitched. His foundation building strength was not even as good as that of a little girl. And he was a pervert. He might become a monster in the future. The price of the violent rabbit is not cheap, but it is still a small amount for a true immortal, especially when this true immortal has no family burden. Junior brother Chen, I'm sorry to bother you this time. Elder Tian was still somewhat grateful. It's not that there were no high-quality spirit beasts in the sect, but it was mainly difficult to satisfy Tian Yao. Tian Yao, who was holding the violent rabbit with a look of despair on her face, also smiled sweetly and said, Thank you, Uncle Chen. After seeing the two off, Chen Zhuge returned to the courtyard full of emotion and drank some spiritual tea to calm his nerves. Wow, the disciples who came to the Garden of Eden to buy spirit beasts before all looked quite ordinary, but today a monster came. It seems that my Garden of Eden seems to be very famous, but in fact it is only circulated among some ordinary disciples. This is not good. I still have to promote it more. Chen Zhuge thought. We still need to prepare carefully how to promote it. In the next 3 years, Chen Zhuge continued to conduct hybridization experiments on spirit chickens. As for the snow rabbit, it had been put on hold for the time being, and he would just let it go. In addition, he also allowed the grass and wood turtles to join the hybrid family. The snow hare and the tree turtle, one has too low productivity, and the other grows too slowly, so this can be considered a long-term experiment. The most critical thing at the moment is the spirit chicken. In the past few years, among the hybrid chickens that have been bred one after another, the most outstanding ones are the fire chicken and the white chicken, as well as the silver iron chicken discovered a year ago. The combat power of fire feather chicken is average, but it tastes very good and its grade can reach level 3. It can be a good spiritual food material and it breeds quickly. Chen Zhuge has already reached a new cooperation with Su Tian of Beiweizai to provide a certain number of fire feather chicken every month, which can be regarded as open source. The white spirit chicken is quite good. Although it is also at the 3rd level, after being extracted by the golden finger, it is not far from the 4th level. It will probably stabilize at the 4th level after a few generations of breeding. The most important thing is that it is really a mutated spirit beast, so its talent is the gathering of water spirit energy, which is relatively useless. No one knows how it mutated, but at least it is a mutated spirit beast, so it will not have trouble selling. The silver iron chicken is the 2nd type of mutant spirit beast. It is also of the 3rd grade, but its combat power is particularly strong. Not only is its strength comparable to that of the white spirit chicken, its defense is several times better than other spirit chickens, and its speed is also good. The most abnormal thing is that it can fly. It is a chicken, but its feathers have become heavier, and it can actually fly into the sky, which really opened Chen Zhuge's eyes. The most critical mutant talent is that its whole body has turned into silver, which can be immune to spell damage, and its breeding value is maximized. Have you written it down? Chen Zhuge turned and asked Li Kaiyuan. Brother, I've got it all down. Well, you have performed well during this period, and your skills have been transformed. You are now stable at the nascent soul stage. You can find a spirit beast in the ecosystem to make a contract with. Any level of cultivation will do, as long as you can make a contract. Chen Zhuge knew very well the purpose of Li Kaiyuan following him to the Wanshao gate, but he would not deliberately suppress her. As long as she worked hard and helped her grow faster, it would be a small problem. Thank you, senior brother. Li Kaiyuan said excitedly. You go first. I don't need you here. Chen Zhuge signaled him that he could go and choose a spirit beast. Looking at Li Kaiyuan walking away, Chen Zhuge shook his head and said, how naive. Without the beast scripture, the cultivation method is good, but how can it compare to the real disciples of the 10,000 Beast sect? Chapter 75. Return of the 5 Beasts. Regardless of Li Kaiyuan's thoughts, Chen Zhuge had to first prepare the things needed for the large-scale breeding of silver iron chickens. The 3rd level silver iron chicken is not recorded in the Atlas of 10,000 Beasts, which means that it is a real mutated spirit beast. As long as it can be bred in large numbers and its capabilities improved, and it can get a better ranking in the beast breeding competition to be held 100 years later, he will be one step closer to the title of beast breeding master. Let's not talk about all these for now. The battle song that Xiahua has been longing for finally came out today. The small world of ferocious beasts. I told you not to go over there. Now you're really screwed. Yang Huan said with a gloomy face. What are you afraid of? Let's fight it together. Yu Li said with disdain. With a sudden break, the other 4 beasts stopped and looked at Yu Li in unison, saying, Go. Yu Li looked at the 4 beasts angrily and said loudly to encourage them, 4 cowards, go ahead. As soon as he finished speaking, a huge figure appeared in front of the 5 beasts. A huge minotaur over 100 meters tall appeared in front of the 5 beasts, holding a huge mace in his hand. Yueli swallowed and said, Did I really go? Go. Looking at the 4 heartless brothers, Yueli shouted, and his body suddenly grew to dozens of meters. A huge rabbit giant appeared behind him. Holding a 10-meter-long bone stick, he leaped up and smashed it hard on the minotaur's head. Although the minotaur, a ferocious beast, had already become a god, it still acted mainly on instinct. It did not dodge because it could not feel the threat from the little thing in front of it. He stretched out his hand to sweep the broken pieces left by the bone-sweeping stick, roared, and the huge mace made a dull whistling sound. Yu Li, who had no time to dodge in mid-air, immediately turned into a meteor and disappeared. Brothers, I'll go first, and it's up to you guys to do the rest. Looking at Yu Li disappearing into the sky, Aoyi said angrily, I thought this rabbit was going to fight to the death, but he was the first to escape. It is not the first or second time that the 5 beasts have provoked the ferocious beast at the peak of transformation. If the minotaur this time had not been at the peak of transformation, the 5 beasts would never have been chased so badly. They really could not defeat him. Forget it. I'll take the lead in the attack. Aoyi and Aoli will fight. Yang Huan, you look for an opportunity to launch a sneak attack. Zhang Ji said seriously. No problem. The main attacker, Zhang Ji, immediately used his strongest means, transforming into a demon ape. Although his height of 50 meters was only half of that of the Minotaur, he still looked like he could withstand a few attacks. 2 dragons flew into the air and sprayed dragon fire at the Minotaur's face, while Phantom hit his body and disappeared. "Take my stick!" Bang! When the iron sticks intersected, the muscles in Zhang Ji's arms bulged high, his face turned red, and the 2 dragons in the air were about to spit out all the dragon fire in their lives. Yang Huan even swung the 2 swords in his hands, leaving a series of afterimages. Looking at him bathed in flames, he was unharmed. Well, I can't say he was unharmed, but at least his face was a lot darker and there were a lot of scars on his ankles. It must have been quite painful, because his eyes were red. Bang, 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 bang. There were 4 consecutive bangs, and the 4 beasts flew towards the direction where the moon power disappeared. The Minotaur who successfully killed the 4 little creatures cheered and unconsciously danced a victory dance to celebrate. However, the 5 beasts did not see this eye-catching scene. When the 4 beasts fell to the ground from the air, Yueli was holding a big snake, intending to fill his stomach. "Why did you come so soon?" Yu Li asked with a naive look on his face. "What do you think?" Zhang Ji, who had thick skin and the highest cultivation level, was the first to come to his senses. He pulled the big snake over with dissatisfaction and bit it hard. The 2 dragons that recovered later also expressed their dissatisfaction with Yu Li's behavior. Yang Huan, who was the most fragile, spat out blood and said, "I think you are going to die. Brothers, I think you have to go first." Upon hearing this, the 4 beasts looked at each other in bewilderment. Not to mention the quarrel, the 5 beasts had fought in this small world for decades, and their friendship had become very deep. After a brief silence, Yueli shouted, "Let's go back together. Wait for me, I'll bring back the mount that I liked before." Not long after, with the sound of Yang Huan vomiting blood, Yueli brought back 5 ferocious beasts similar to the Triceratops. It seemed that their cultivation was not low, all of them were in the late nascent soul stage. "Old sheep, hold on, ride on it first and then activate it." After Yu Li carried Yang Huan onto the back of the ferocious beast, the other 4 beasts and Yang Huan activated the token together. Then a beam of light descended, and as he was about to leave, the 5 mounts seemed not to have caught up, and Zhang Ji shouted, "Take our mounts, we have merit, and our master will pay." The other 4 beasts, even Yang Huan who was vomiting blood, started shouting as well. Elder Tian, who was personally leading the 5 beasts outside, smiled interestingly and said, "Interesting little guy, let's go together." Boom! 5 figures appeared in the hall. The tokens had healed all the injuries of the 5 beasts. The disciples who were still queuing to send their spirit beasts for training looked at the 5 arrogant spirit beasts that suddenly appeared and said dissatisfiedly, "Whose spirit beast is this? It's so ignorant. Why don't you go and take it away quickly? You can bring a ferocious beast out of this small secret realm? Do you understand the rules?" The 5 beasts who wanted to escape with the balance did not bother with this group of people at all, and drove the 5 ferocious beasts directly towards the outside of the hall. Elder Tian was stunned for a moment, then guessed that the 5 beasts wanted to escape. He caught the 5 beasts with a helpless smile, and then notified Chen Zhuge. The 5 beasts imprisoned by Elder Tian kept communicating with their eye contact. "How to do? Will the master beat us? It shouldn't be possible. Our nascent soul has reached its peak. We've worked so hard. Speaking of which, these mounts shouldn't be expensive. They all eat grass. I'm going to die. I shouldn't have had a mount. No future." The other 4 beasts looked down on Yang Huan in unison. "If you hadn't been unable to hold on, we could have continued playing in there for a long time. Now you're the first one to surrender. I despise you. I really despise you." Chen Zhuge, who received the news, rushed there immediately. He saw 5 funny guys trapped in mid-air at a glance. Their eyes were like they were having seizures and they kept blinking at Yang Huan. "Uncle Master Tian." Chen Zhuge greeted awkwardly. Junior brother Chen's 5 spirit beasts have really different reactions. They can even run away. Elder Tian joked. Chen Zhuge was ashamed and said, "How many merits did Elder Tian get for the 5 beasts he brought out? No need. This small world is still under my jurisdiction. I am an elder after all. These are just 5 nascent soul beasts. You can take them away, nephew." Elder Tian said generously. "That won't work." Chen Zhuge didn't want to take advantage of this. Take him away? Does my nephew look down on me? Elder Tian pretended to be dissatisfied. Chen Zhuge had no choice but to accept it. Behind the small figure of Chen Zhuge were 5 huge ferocious beasts. The 5 dejected spirit beasts were leading the ferocious beasts all the way back to the Garden of Eden in a dull mood. You guys! Chen Zhuge pointed at the 5 beasts with some disappointment. Seeing Chen Zhuge leave without saying anything, the 5 beasts became a little panicked. Is their master angry?